In the dead of night, a train clatters down the tracks, and its windows glow like fireflies. 24-year-old Akihito Machida drops a long, exhausted sigh like all his strength just ran out. He slumped in his seat, looking like pure exhaustion after 33 straight days of work. He flashes back to the mayhem in his office, but he refuses to let it crush him. Tomorrow's day off is the one thing keeping him standing. His thoughts drift to a wild, dreamy escape, pitching a tent in the heart of nature and finally cooling off like it's a perfect fantasy. The crushing weight of his fatigue finally drags him down into sleep. His eyelids start to droop as the thought of finally making it home to rest takes over his mind. His consciousness slips away, plunging into endless blackness like he's swallowed by a dreamless void. He jolts awake as the train slams to a stop, eyes bulging with pure alarm. Panic crashes over him as he finally clocks it. He's overslept and blown right past his stop. He's standing alone on a ruined platform when the train doors shriek, clamp shut, and the whole thing rips away into the emptiness. A creepy wind slashes through the pitch-black, abandoned station, while he can't stop asking himself where the hell he is. He tilts his head and stares at a battered sign that screams Zoragi, a station name he's never once heard before. Baffled and drained, he's convinced he must have grabbed the wrong train while his head was still spinning. He scans the station and dread creeps in as he realizes every single station worker is gone, leaving it totally unmanned. He brushes off the weirdness and snatches his phone to check where he is. His stomach drops when his phone screen flashes out of service, and he's instantly cut off for good. With no schedule anywhere in sight, he throws caution aside and steps outside to find his bearings. He plunges into a pitch-black forest, swinging a dim phone flashlight like it's the only hope he's got. 2 hours later, he drops to his knees, completely crushed, utterly lost, with no way out. He snaps his head up, and a bead of sweat slides down his brow as the horrifying truth hits him. Something is terribly wrong. Far off, he spots a faint glow spilling from the mouth of a pitch-black tunnel. With hope burning in his chest, he charges straight toward the bright light like it's the way out. He slips into the cavern, and the glow from his phone barely slices through the crushing darkness. A weird electronic chime blasts through the air, and he snaps his head toward his phone, totally confused. Right as he starts to question whether that sound is really the tide, a blinding light suddenly explodes in front of him. A brutal surge of power explodes out of the tunnel, smashing him off his feet like he weighs nothing. The world melts into a streak of blazing light as he gets thrown through the void, faster than the mind can keep up. He drops into this brand new place, completely lost, and keeps muttering, "No way, this has to be a lie." He stumbles onto a jagged cliff above the sea, and he can't believe it, daylight is here. He jolts, stares at himself in panic, and realizes his suit has turned into tough, rugged outdoor gear. He spins around, scanning for the tunnel he just burst through, only to find it's totally disappeared. He clamps his fingers into his cheek with full force, and that sharp, burning pain snaps the truth into place. This isn't a dream. Gazing at the crashing waves, he finally swallows the horrifying truth of where he's trapped. A mysterious sound snapped from behind him, and a shaky, careful voice followed right after. He jerks around in shock and blurts out a loud, startled yelp. His eyes lock onto a wild sight, a weird pink drill-shaped thing hovering in midair. Then he spots a jaw-dropping beauty in an ornate dress, her golden twin tails swaying like something out of a dream. He's totally blown away, staring at her and thinking, she's unbelievably beautiful. The young woman steps up fast, her worry spilling out as she asks, "Are you okay?" He snaps out of his daze, drops into a deep bow, and blurts out an apology for getting caught staring while he was totally lost. She locks eyes with a warm, gentle smile and tells him, "I get it, after everything you went through." She tells him her ship got smashed by a brutal storm, and she clawed her way ashore on this very spot. Akihito's jaw drops when he realizes he's talking to a real live shipwreck survivor. He tries to tell her, "I came through a tunnel," but she just stares at him, totally lost. He blurts out something wild, then catches himself, scratches his head hard, totally stuck, because the right words just won't show up. She snaps back to her manners, realizing they still haven't even bothered to introduce themselves. With a graceful curtsy, she steps forward and announces herself as Olivia of the Half-Payment Marquisate. He introduces himself as Akihito Machida, convinced her noble title is just a fancy character act. Olivia quizzes him about where he's from, and the second he says Japan, her face twists. She's never heard that name in her life. She offers a sincere apology for not knowing, and in that moment he can't help but think, what a genuinely kind soul. He leans in and asks her straight up if she has any clue where this island could be. She leaned in and told me she was journeying all the way from the Legman Kingdom to marry the Prince of Nissel. Those wild names, Marquisate, Kingdom, Prince, slam into Akihito's brain and make his head spin. Olivia bursts into laughter like they're both trapped in the same mess, and then bam, the truth finally crashes into Akihito. With horror creeping in, he realizes, somehow, he's slipped into a completely different world. His brain snaps to a familiar trope and he's already demanding, where in the world are the cheat skills he was promised? He spirals into a full-on breakdown, cursing the fact that no goddess has blessed him with powers yet. Olivia steadies him, pulls him back from the brink, and tells him they've got to hunt for the other survivors. Then he shifts into fantasy mode and straight up asks whether this world even has things like jobs and skills. She smirks and confirms they do, and then declares, with pride burning in her chest, that her own work is the holy night. He snatched it back, stunned that this delicate-looking girl was in a physical combat class. She tells him it's as easy as checking his own status, then pushes him to go try it himself. Nerves crashing in him, he shuts his eyes tight and recites the words, status, open. A glowing, see-through screen pops out of nowhere, and it instantly throws him into shock. His eyes bulged with disbelief at the one word on the screen for his job, camper. He's locked onto the screen, completely baffled, like, what kind of job even is a camper? He checks his stats, locks in his name, his one-of-a-kind job, and the 5 starting points that kick off everything. He cracks open the skill tree and scans every ability he can unlock with the points in his pocket. He spots a new tab labeled Camp Item Exchange, then can't help but wonder what secret deals it unlocks. He scans his skill page and realizes he's racking up points every single day, leveling up as he camps out. He tapped the item tab and boom, an enormous camping gear catalog exploded on screen, lighting his excitement on fire. He sits there plotting his next move, juggling those 5 points, choosing between his skills and his items like it could decide everything. Olivia leans in with a bright grin, then asks if he's finally figured out his job. With the status screen still blazing in front of him, he declares like it's a fact that he looks like a camper. Olivia frowns in confusion, straight up admitting she's never even heard of a job like that. He lights up as he tells you camping is all about soaking in nature and whipping up meals outdoors. As he talks about sitting by a campfire under a sky full of stars, Olivia's eyes light up like she can't look away. Then he rubs the back of his neck and sheepishly confesses that every bit of what he knows came straight from online videos. She tells him don't downplay yourself because she can feel it in her bones. His real potential is way bigger than he thinks. She clasped her hands and flashed him a dazzling smile, like she already knew he was destined to become something legendary. He flinches at her smile's brutal power, convinced it could kill with one look. She fires off questions about his skills, and he totally panics, assuming she must be pining for some prince as her boyfriend. He shoots out an apology and admits he hasn't spent a single skill point yet. She tells him straight up, how he spends his points will decide the whole course of his life here. He stares back at his screen and finally gets it. Pulling in 4 points every single day is pure power. As they head out, he suddenly taps his first 1 point, putting it into basic physical strength. They push deeper into a thick forest, while sunbeams slice through the towering trees above, flickering across the ground as they go. The forest floor sprawls into a wild mess of twisted roots and crushing undergrowth. After hours of digging through every corner, they finally stop, because there's not a single sign of any other people anywhere. He says they've found nobody yet, right as Olivia starts to stumble, wiped out by sheer exhaustion. When he sees her struggling, he steps in with total confidence and tells her, "Don't worry, I'll get the water." She asks if he knows water magic, and he just points straight at his item exchange menu like that's the real answer. With a blinding flash, he yanks a massive water container straight out of his menu. A brand new 20-liter water tank drops into existence right at his feet, already crammed to the brim. He proudly thrusts the spigot into her hands and boasts that this is the jaw-dropping power of a camper. Olivia's face lights up as she snatches the chance for fresh water, overflowing with grateful joy. Her smile snaps shut as a life-changing realization hits her all at once. She glances at him with an embarrassed little smile and asks, in a quiet voice, if he just happens to have a cup. Akito's triumphant grin snaps into pure, stunned disbelief the moment he realizes he missed something so simple. Akihito pauses, then seriously weighs the price of a single cup against what they'll need next. Olivia, always thinking 5 steps ahead, declares she's going to drink straight from the spigot. With a sharp twist, the spigot clicks open, and a glorious crystal-clear stream bursts to life. She tilts in for her very first sip, and the water bursts out in a wild gush, splattering everything around her. The noble woman instantly coughs, gasps, and splutters like the powerful stream just slammed into her. Mortified to the core, she practically begs him to look away as he hands her a freshly summoned cup. He's kicking himself for not calling in the more versatile Sierra cup from the very start. Olivia bounced back completely, stunned by a power she swears is straight out of a legendary skill. Akito quickly shuts it down. He didn't use a real storage skill, he traded points instead. She swears his talent is almost mythical, only 1 in 30,000 people even have it. Akihito's jaw drops when he realizes the simple skill he's got is treated like a legendary power in this world. He can't contain his excitement as he blurts out that his item exchange power doesn't just deal with water, it blows way past it. He flashes his pride like a trophy, showing off the full catalog of modern camping gear he can get his hands on. Olivia is totally speechless, frozen in shock at the wild possibilities she can already see in him. She stares in awe at how the whole camper job works, like a brand new world finally opened up for her. Akihito's chest swells with a hot rush of pride. He's not used to people giving him praise this huge. The worry he carried about his useless job starts melting away, and confidence rushes in. With fresh fire in his eyes, he declares, "We're facing this together." Touched by his sincerity, Olivia leans in and softly asks, "Would you be my friend?" He nods instantly, cuts right to it, and tells her to just call him Akihito. They sealed their fresh partnership and new friendship with a solid, no-backsies handshake. As the sky darkens, they finally clock the truth. Night's coming fast, and they've got to gear up right now. Akihito spots a perfect clearing for their campsite, and Olivia can't believe they're about to dive into a brand new experience. He can't stop worrying that the sheltered, noble woman will panic the moment she has to sleep under the open sky. Forget fear, Olivia's buzzing with pure excitement as she dives into the adventure of camping. Armed with raw energy, she barrels into the woods, sprinting in to grab firewood before the night can even blink. Olivia scrambles for wood while the forest erupts in a roaring commotion. While he's waiting, Olivia's voice slices through the trees, calling his name. She strolls back like it's nothing, hauling a log so massive it'd crush an ordinary person. Akihito's jaw drops in shock as she shows off that insane strength, hauling out a massive log like it's nothing. He leans in and calmly tells him the wood has to be cut smaller, otherwise it won't burn right. Olivia gets his instructions right away, flashing a bright, determined smile that says, "Got it." With a brutal crack, she splits the massive log right down the middle using nothing but her hands. He just freezes there, eyes wide, mind scrambling to make sense of what he's seen. She smiles sweetly and tells him it's nothing special, just a basic holy night technique, the kind you pull off with a blade still in your bare hands. He silently tags her as the drill princess, staring at the nobles of this world like, what kind of place is this? Even with the shock still burning, he realizes something wild. He doesn't hate her strength at all, it's downright incredible. A sudden rustle from the nearby undergrowth shatters the silence in an instant. Akihito snaps his head around, every sense blazing as that sudden noise rips through the silence. A nightmare wolf creature tears into the clearing, and Akihito's blood turns to ice from sheer terror. Olivia calmly points out that the beast is a devil rat, and the realization hits him like a punch. She slides right in front of him, shielding him with a sharp warning, because that bite could kill. With her eyes shut tight, she starts chanting, and pure holy power spirals into existence, blazing brighter and brighter. Her eyes snap wide open as she finishes her incantation with a final, razor-sharp line. Akihito stared in awe, practically trembling as he braced for a terrifying burst of divine magic. She doesn't use magic, she surges forward and smashes the monster into nothing with a single punch. He's totally stunned by the vicious, totally unexpected blast of raw physical power. Olivia drops into a deep bow of apology, and Akihito is left completely baffled. She wails as the branch she'd been gripping like a weapon splinters the moment it hits. She tries to blame her inexperience, but he shoots back that those splintered planks are exactly the kindling he needs. He tells her that the fine, dry kindling she made is perfect for sparking a fire. Her gloom flips on a dime and suddenly she gets it, and joy lights up her face. She lavishes praise on his superior knowledge, and he squirms into an embarrassed, stubborn protest. That encounter slams home the terrifying truth: monsters really are out there in this world. He scans the forest like, yep, I'm really in a fantasy world. He suddenly realizes survival isn't going to happen unless he gets his own weapon, fast. Once the kindling's set, the real battle begins. Now he has to spark that fire for real. Akihito flashes a confident grin and declares, "I'll handle the fire starting, don't worry." With a smug grin, he snaps up a basic disposable lighter for a single, perfect point. He breaks down how the lighter works, and Olivia instantly clocks it as some kind of magic item. He leaned in and begged her to toss on even more of her expertly prepared kindling, feeding the flames higher. She tosses in the wood with laugh-out-loud, full-throttle energy, and suddenly a massive pile towers up out of nowhere. With one quick click, he dares the flame into the tinder. The flames burst to life, and both of them explode into cheers over their shared win. A wave of deep, long-missing satisfaction finally hits him, the kind he hasn't felt in his corporate life in ages. As the adrenaline drains away, Olivia's smile collapses, her mood turns heavy, and you can see she's shaken. She brings up her betrothal, and Akihito instantly goes bright red, flustered, stumbling, and rushing to apologize. Akihito drops into awkward silence, then stares at his own feelings like they've betrayed him. Clenching his resolve, he zeroes in on their situation and summons his status screen. He finally snaps to the truth. He can't keep asking Olivia to stand guard against monsters all night. He knows their first job is getting everyone safe right now. Food can wait. He snatches his final resolve, knowing he's got to spend his last points to keep them safe. Olivia locks eyes with the crackling flames, but her mind drifts somewhere far beyond them. She whips around and locks eyes with him, her face melting with warmth in the flickering firelight. With a calm, serene smile, she admits through it all, she still ended up having a blast. Her sudden confession slams into him out of nowhere, and he's totally thrown. She credits him for the surprising joy that cracked through their brutal, hard day. He sits there processing the day's wild, unbelievable chaos, monsters terrorizing everything, then somehow him and the others finally slipping into camp. A calm realization flickers in his eyes as he locks onto her. He stares into the fire's cozy glow, and it feels like he's finding that same comforting peace inside himself. He finally mumbles that he felt the exact same spark about their whole day. A warm, real smile bursts across his face the second he agrees with her. They lock eyes and fall into a calm, wordless understanding, pure joy hitting them both at once. He stares at the 2 points left, and in that instant, his mind is fully made up. Keen to guard their fragile peace, he's already picked the one skill he has to master. Olivia catches the sudden shift in his vibe and stares at him like, "What's going on with you?" He blows his final 2 points to unlock the base camp blessing skill. He slams his hand into the ground and loudly declares that this clearing is their official campsite. A brilliant burst of light surges outward, snapping into place a protective barrier. He stands tall, locks in his vow, and steps into his brand new life, ready to savor every second of the adventure ahead. In their brand new safe haven, they huddle up and map out what they'll do the very next day. Just past the glow's edge, a pack of predatory eyes lurks in the dark, staring them down. In that forest, unseen creatures stir in the shadows, and his skill is the only thing holding them back. Their little glowing camp lights up the wilderness like a lifeline, the only safe haven for miles and miles. A battle flag goes up to claim their turf, right there, a loud symbol of his brand new identity and mission. Once their safety was locked down, a far more ordinary, yet unavoidable, problem finally reared its head. Akihito grips his stomach hard and it hits him at last. He's insanely hungry. Before he even steps in, he replays the day's chaos, every brutal hour stacked up in his grueling schedule. He's begging the universe for his daily points because their food crisis is closing in fast. Then his mind snaps back to Olivia. He's sure she's starving too. As the campfire shrinks into dying embers, Olivia blurts out Akihito's name, her nerves on fire. She points out breathless that the flames are shrinking, smaller and smaller like something choking them out. Akihito whirls around, panic hitting hard as he realizes, if that fire goes out, everything is about to collapse. Olivia's eyes flare wide with pure terror as she pictures that suffocating darkness closing in. He spots her trembling and immediately knows she's terrified of the dark. She blurts out that anyone would be terrified in a forest that eerie. Akihito flashes her a warm, steady smile and tells her, "You're gonna be okay." His gentle expression hits her like lightning, and she's left totally speechless and stunned for a beat. He tells them if the flames are running low, toss in a few tiny twigs to punch them back to life. He leaned in and told her to place the fine branches on the embers with total care. Her hands carefully nestle the kindling into the last glowing coals. With a sudden whoosh, the fire snaps back to life, blazing bright, roaring loud, and burning strong. Olivia erupted in pure delight when Akihito declared they pulled it off. She gushes over his insane camper skills, completely blown away by what he managed to pull off. With a mischievous grin, she tosses in even more wood and swears she won't get beaten by the fire's fury. She bursts into joyful laughter, wiping that leftover smoke from her eyes like it's nothing. Akihito stares at her and relief hits hard. Her spirits have finally come roaring back. Noticing the exhaustion on her face, he urged, "Come on, we've got to rest now." Olivia's whole vibe flips the moment she leans in toward him. She straight up declares she's the prince's fiancée and says she'll lie right nearby, like it's already decided. Akihito is left totally dumbfounded by her wild, sudden, head-spinning declaration. She slams her fist down and declares, loud and clear, that there's no way she could ever swing her hyper or a sword. With a mischievous smirk, she can't help wondering if being his girlfriend would be downright exhilarating. Akihito panics out of nowhere, blabbering frantically that those thoughts aren't even there. She quickly apologizes for her joke and he waves it off, telling her not to stress about it. Relief floods her face as she smiles and praises him as a fine person, then somehow it makes him feel weirdly guilty. Akihito scoops up a bundle of dry grass and lays it down like bedding for the night. They both drop onto their own makeshift leaf beds and sink into the night, side by side in silence. Akihito catches a soft burst of giggles, whips his head around and shoots her a confused look. He blurts out what's so funny, and she finally admits it all feels totally strange to her. Even with her trapped and starving, she can't help but feel a rush of excitement building inside her. With a radiant smile, she announces, "This is the first night I've felt truly free." Her heartfelt words hit the overworked salaryman right in the chest, and it felt like they finally reached his soul. He nods, stunned by how long it's been since he felt this light, like every weight finally slipped off his shoulders. He stared up and the moment he saw it, his eyes blew wide with pure, jaw-dropping awe. He's completely spellbound by the breathtaking star-studded night sky above him. He grins because having this view all to himself feels like a rare kind of luxury. The very next morning, golden sunlight pours through the forest canopy, blazing like it's daring the world to look back. Akihito jolts upright with a hard stretch, while Olivia snores softly beside him, still fast asleep. He takes a deep breath of that crisp, fresh air and can't help grinning. Waking up in the middle of a campsite feels absolutely amazing. First thing he does is slam open his status screen to check his points. He flashes a grin because his special skill just handed him 4 fresh points. He decides to hold onto his points. Right now he's waiting until Olivia wakes up. Next, he rushes to inspect their precious water supply in the tank. He taps the container and pure relief hits him hard because it's stuffed to the brim, totally full. As he studies the spigot, Olivia's voice slices through the air and calls his name. She shoots upright, rubs the sleep out of her eyes, and sends him a warm, sweet good morning. Akihito freezes for a split second when he spots her, rocking a look without her iconic drill hairstyle. Flustered, he whips his gaze away and darts back to his status screen like he didn't just get caught. He tells her the water's been replenished and she finally gets to use it. As soon as she's ready, he bursts in with the news he's about to whip up their breakfast. He scrolls through his skill tree and there it is, camp food, flashing like valuable knowledge. He's already daydreaming about every mouthwatering meal he could cook, if only he had the ingredients. He shuts the idea down because with no food anywhere nearby, it's way too risky to even try. Olivia, fully dressed and looking unstoppable, tells him straight up, "I'm ready." She's fully back in her royal glory, sparkling so hard Akihito can't even blink. He's thrown for a loop as she snaps right back into her usual self in an instant. He shoves his own hunger aside and declares, "Don't worry, I'll get us our meal." He cracks open the food gacha and grabs a meal they can eat right away. He taps the screen, praying for a button he can press that skips the whole cooking part. Pay 1 point and poof, a small white cooler box drops into existence. He and Olivia hunch forward, breath caught tight, as the lid finally pops open. Inside are 2 convenient store rice balls, 1 tuna mayo, 1 salmon. They plop down in a cajita and tease that the food looks so damn delicious. Olivia squints at that weird triangular object, then blurts, "Is this food?" She leans in for a bite, scratching her head like, "Okay, how am I supposed to eat this without any utensils?" Akihito practically slams on the brakes and teaches her, step by step, how to tear open the plastic wrapper. She watches wide-eyed as he shows her the right way to do it. With their hearts pounding, they line in, ready to take that first jaw-dropping bite. Olivia cautiously takes a bite of that unfamiliar rice bowl and hesitates like she's trying to decode a mystery. Akihito takes a bite too, and his eyes light up instantly with pure, unstoppable joy. Both of them shout at the exact same time that this plain little meal is insanely delicious. He's basically in tears. He's never tasted an onigiri this good in his life. Olivia can't stop staring. One bite of that savory filling hits like magic, and the crispy seaweed seals the deal. Akihito clears his plate, grateful as hell, then immediately wishes he could go back for one more bite. He grins warmly when Olivia asks, "Can I have another one?" After they're done with breakfast, he leans in and declares, "All right, time to kick off today's mission." He turns his gaze to the coast and declares their very first objective. A towering plume of smoke rockets up into the sky from the signal fire they just built. Olivia stares in confusion, totally clueless about what a signal fire even is. Akihito blurts that it could tip off any passing ships and drag them straight to their position. Then he lays out the rest of the plan: hunt down people, track down food, and secure clean water. And then he tells them straight up they've got to wash their own clothes themselves. He scratches his shoulder and admits it. After 2 long days, he's desperate for a bath. They push deeper into the thick, rustling forest, and the shadows seem to swallow the path behind them. As he fights his way through the vines, Olivia steps in with total confidence and tells him to hand it over to her. She fires off her Vance skill and blasts open a crisp, perfectly clear lane straight through the chaos. Akihito can't believe it as Olivia coyly calls it pure lady's grace. She skips ahead, grinning, and can't help but marvel at how unstoppable her skill is. Her elegant boot steps land with a solid thump on the freshly cleared forest floor. They keep trudging forward, but the forest goes dead silent, and Akihito hears absolutely nothing. Olivia shuts her eyes and slams her hearing enhancement skill into action. Her senses flare wide open, and suddenly she can hear sounds no normal person would ever catch. Her ear twitches as she locks onto a distant sound, zeroing in like it matters. She listens, hears the water rushing, and then points them straight toward the right way. They bolt through the trees, following her lead like it's the only way out. They burst into the clearing and spot a crystal-clear stream, rushing by like it's alive. Standing on the riverbank, Akihito squints, and the stream ahead looks way too wide, like something's off. Olivia's jaw drops when he casually suggests the river's course might have been artificially carved. They decide to chase the stream, but they don't trust what lies ahead. This terrain looks brutal. Deep in the forest, Akihito feels a sinister presence stalking the shadows, and he tells himself, "Don't you dare let your guard down." He tells Olivia to stay sharp, because no one knows what's lurking in the shadows here. Chasing the stream, they barrel into a clearing and find something that just doesn't belong. Akihito's mind is racing. What is it? He spots a row of freshly cut tree stumps, clean as a blade, and instantly knows someone has been here, cutting with purpose. Olivia points at the fallen trees and reveals they've been hauled in to build a dam across the river. She spots another clearing up on a small rise, and Akihito leans in like, "Yep, I see it too." Both of them freeze in place, eyes wide with shock, and that rush of pure wonder as they realize what they've uncovered. Then the clearing opens up, and there, tucked in among a grove of giant, whimsical mushrooms, sits a cozy little cottage like it's hiding a secret. Olivia squints and says it looks just like a fairy's cottage, and Akihito shoots back that it's way too tiny for humans. She can't contain her excitement as she guesses this could be where gnomes live, the little creatures straight out of storybooks. Akihito finally clicks. This house's resident is the one who chopped down the trees. With a thunderous creak, the tiny cottage door jerks and starts swinging wide. Akihito's eyes narrow hard. He knows he has to stay on guard because whoever's inside could be dangerous. The moment the door swings open, Akihito shoots his arm out and yanks Olivia behind him, putting his body between her and danger. A little 2-legged cat, dressed up and clutching a satchel, bursts into view, stunned just as hard as you are. The creature blares that something just appeared, and Akihito freezes when he sees a talking cat right in front of him. From the mushroom grove, the little cat person tiptoes into view, watching the two humans with wary eyes. Akihito can't help but wonder what this thing really is, standing there upright like that. Is it a monster? He catches himself thinking, just look at it, everything about it screams what I'm assuming. It just looks like a cat, but don't let that fool you. The cat squints at them like they're the weirdest thing ever, and Akihito just thinks, yeah, that's totally my cue. A bigger cat steps out, sniffs the first one and growls, "Settle down." This freaky new cat with a stitched-up face calmly clocks the newcomers and knows they're human. The first cat shoots a question, are they truly human, while Akihito and Olivia just stare, shocked. Once Akihito realizes they can actually talk, he breaks into a friendly smile and fires off a bright, cheerful hello to them. Tama, the first cat, is absolutely thrilled. She's never seen a human's smooth face before. Akihito fires off a question about the transaction, and Buchi, the patch cat, immediately jumps in to explain. They're both totally floored when they realize a ship shows up on this island once every single month. Akihito's hope rockets up. Maybe, just maybe, they'll get passage on that ship. Olivia's face lights up with pure relief, thinking, we've got it now, we can finally reach the capital kingdom. Bucci shoots the question, did you come to trade? And Tama chimes in, grinning, that humans always show up with the most delicious food. Akihito blurts out that they were shipwrecked and swept up on this shore. Then the cats show up like, wait, what? Bucci gets it, and Tama chokes back sympathy for what they've been through. Akihito lets out a breath of relief, feeling these are good-hearted cats who just might actually help them. He asked what this place was called, and the two cats practically purred the answer back. They swung in and introduced themselves as Bucci and Tama, two members of the minion tribe from Marvel Island. Akihito's jaw drops when he learns the cats are sacred beasts, and he's standing in their holy land. He asks if any other humans are still here, and Buki snaps that the traders bolted days ago. Akihito shoots him a thank you, and the second it clicks he realizes, yeah, they're not getting back to port anytime soon. He clings to survival and teams up with Olivia, using his camper skills to keep them going until the very end. He whips around to Bucci and Tama and asks, where do we find food around here? Bucci breaks down how the minions hunt and forage for fish, then trade every little catch for those glowing stones. Akihito asks about the stones and Olivia's eyes light up. She knows they're valuable magic stones. The cats also drop a bombshell. Those rare treats aren't just out there, they're hiding inside the caves too, but Bucci delivers a chilling warning. Nightmarish monsters are hiding deep in the caves. Akihito's eyes go wide as the news hits, and he realizes he's got to be insanely careful, like no mistakes. Butch warmly offers to lead them straight to the fruit groves, and Akito gratefully jumps at the chance. They shadow the two minions as they vanish from the playful mushroom village. The group pushes forward through thick, rustling underbrush, deeper and deeper into the forest's tangled chaos. With the path wide open in front of them, Olivia and Akihito stride forward, deeply grateful for every bit of help that got them here. The cats even point them toward a nearby waterfall, where they can plunge in and bathe. Olivia's heart gets soothed by their kindness, and that warmth hits her like a tidal wave of comfort. Akihito tells them the ship isn't coming back for a while, so everyone braces for the wait. Olivia's mood turns ice cold. She knows if she doesn't go back right now, her family's name will be shattered. She tells her that her fiancé, the Prince of Nissel, might believe she ran from the engagement. She won't let this misunderstanding weigh him down. Akihito leans in, eyes locked, and a brand new idea starts dawning like a spark in his mind. He clocks it instantly. Olivia isn't exactly pumped about her upcoming marriage. A brutal roar of rushing air starts blasting through the trees ahead, echoing like something massive is coming. They finally stumble upon the breathtaking blue waterfall, the one Bucci swore was real. Akihito blurts out that he wants to wash his hair and body, leaving Olivia totally stunned. She can't believe it and blurts out, "You're really bathing right here," and he just nods, dead serious. Olivia is absolutely mortified at the idea of stripping down for a bath outside, right there under the blazing open sun. Akihito flashes a warm smile and tells them, straight from the heart, that staying clean is the key to keeping sickness away. She gets exactly why he thinks that way, but her nerves still scream no. She's frozen, flustered, and painfully unsure. He rushes in to calm her down, swears everything will be fine, and even brings up her engagement to the prince like it'll fix everything. She suddenly snaps that if anyone dares to spy on her, she'll make them end their own life. Akihito's speechless, then she leans in and tells him, "It's just something my mom used to say." He grins at her, then tells her to wait, because he's about to bring something that'll save the day. He calls for a towel set, 1 point, all set, complete with towels, toothbrushes, and razors. Olivia stares at a toothbrush like it's treasure, then blurts out in all what other kind of stuff a camper is allowed to grab. He flashes a grin and tells him straight up, he can only summon things that somehow connect to camping. He tells her, "I'll wait behind that big rock," and she grabs the towel with real gratitude. Beneath the waterfall, the calm pool roars with wild splashes as water pounds and churns. Olivia slowly dips her hand into the cool, crystal-clear water. She admits it to herself, she never, ever pictured herself bathing outdoors in her life. She drops into the water and her long hair fans out like silk as a contented sigh escapes her, pure bliss. Akihito sits with his back pressed to the huge rock, waiting on her like he can't afford to miss a single second. He grins to himself, relieved to see she's actually enjoying her bath. He can't stop staring at her legendary drill hairstyle, and he's left wondering how on earth anyone could ever wash it. A hilarious flash of her wrestling a washboard with a stick streaks through his mind. Olivia's voice cuts through the forest, and she shouts that she's ready. Akihito swivels around as she steps out from behind the rock, and she blurts an apology for keeping him waiting. He flashes a grin and tells her it's his turn to get her cleaned up now. With her hair down, Olivia declares she's heading out to hunt while he slings on the washing and gets to work. Akihito's whole body jolted when she blurted out that shocking, out-of-nowhere declaration. He lets out a small blush, nods along, and tells her to be careful as she heads home. He leans in and asks, "So you're really going hunting?" And she lights up with a bright smile and says yes. She tells him, "I can't keep leaning on you anymore. My stamina's back and I'm ready to move." He shoots back with a protest, swearing she's already done more for him than he can ever repay. She cuts him off mid-sentence, fiery and unshakable, swearing she'll be the one to bring the meat for dinner. Swamped with pressure, Akihito finally gives in and tells her, "Fine," she handles it, then adds, "We'll meet at base camp." She lights up with a happy grin and he answers with a warm smile too, fully trusting her. She flashes a bright goodbye and he fires back his best wishes, stunned that she can hunt too. His clothes and boots are laid out on the shore as he braces himself and steps toward the water. He douses his head with cool water and lets out a long, breathy sigh of pure, overwhelming relief. He leans back and bursts out, "Oh man, this finally feels amazing, like he's never been so properly clean." A shocking rustle explodes out of the bushes right beside him. He snaps his head around, heart thumping, and freezes. Was that an animal or a full-on monster? He panics hard when he realizes that without Olivia, he's basically a sitting duck, just a defenseless salaryman with zero protection. With the waterfall blasting around him, Akihito dives into a pool of noise and anxiously flicks through his status screen. He finally figures out that the right axe for machete costs 5 whole points, way more than he's got. A sudden rustle in the bushes jolts him out of his skin, blasting him back into the truth. Danger is always lurking. He locks in his priorities, food first, laundry next, especially if Olivia comes back with nothing again. Drying off, he can't help wondering, has someone as highborn as Olivia ever had to drag laundry through the dirt like everyone else? He can't stop thinking about the mess her family is trapped in, and he starts picturing the crushing anxiety she must be feeling. Now fully dressed, he finally admits it. Olivia has helped him more than he can ever repay, because without her, he never would have made it through on his own. He vows to melt away her fears any way he can before the rescue ship finally shows up. The idea of that ship throws his mind into chaos. He doesn't even know how he's supposed to get home. He shakes off every worry, steels his mind for the now, and sets out to hunt down the fruit grove. He knows he can't waste a second. He has to hunt down food before nightfall hits. Crushing through tangled undergrowth, he's sure he's one step away from the exact spot Thomas swore was there. He steps into a clearing and locks eyes on one towering fruit tree, staring up at it like it's the most unbelievable thing he's ever seen. From those tall branches, the fruit gleams so tempting it practically begs him to taste it. Then he spots it for what it is, mangoes. He plants himself at the foot of that colossal trunk, staring up, trying to figure out how in the world he's gonna get them. After a quick feel of the smooth bark, he snaps to the conclusion, this tree can't be climbed. He scrambles to grab a tool for help, but a sudden sharp noise booms from above and yanks his attention away. A sudden blood-curdling squawk yanks him back. He whips his head up with eyes bulging wide in pure shock. He whips his head around, terrified he only imagined that a bird just insulted him. That vicious squawk blasts out again, and it drives home one thing, he wasn't imagining it. He freezes in total shock when he spots 2 huge, intimidating birds, each wearing a bandana, sitting up on a branch like they own the place. He freezes in total disbelief, scrambling to wrap his head around the terrifying question, what kind of creatures are these? One bird flares its chest like a challenge, ready to bulldoze the whole flock for dominance. The creature drops onto a lower branch and locks eyes with him, glaring like it's ready to strike. He hears the bird chirp, calling him a little fry, and that snide tone instantly lights a fuse in him. The bird puffed up its chest like it owned the sky, chirping straight at him, daring him to back down while it stared right at him. Akihito's jaw drops, not just at the insult, but at how brutally foul that creature's mouth is. Perched up high, the birds heckle him, chirping, "Hey, small fry, wanna munch on our fruit?" They dive into the mangoes right in front of him, chomping loud and happy like they've just hit jackpot. He swallowed his pride and went for diplomacy, asking politely if they'd be willing to share. One bird tilts its head and stares down at him with a smug little beak, like, "Yeah, okay, what's in it for us?" He tells them he can't give anything right now, but swears he'll repay their kindness someday. The birds stare at him with sharp, skeptical eyes, and his empty promise doesn't even earn a flicker of interest. That smug little bird flashes a smirk and basically taunts him. Maybe I'll hear you out if you beg for it. Akihito is completely stunned by the monster's awful personality. Its plan falls apart so fast it turns into total shambles. He finally gets it, they don't mean to help at all, they're here to mock him and crush his pride. Realizing it's pointless, he shrugs off the obnoxious bullies and decides to ignore them for good. Fuming that he's being brushed off, the bird snaps, "Get lost or you'll miss out on the fruit." As he strides off, birds wheel above him, screaming out their mockery of small fry. They sneer at him for believing they'd lift a hand, then laugh as they tell him to starve to death. Bruised and beaten, he throws caution to the wind and grabs that food gotcha. Anything's better than facing them. A sharp crash in the woods jolts him to attention, and then a voice cuts in, "What's wrong?" It's Bucci. He leans in and asks, "So you came for the mangoes?" while clocking that tired, worn-out look on his face. Akihito's face ignites with pure relief, practically glowing when he spots his friendly minion buddy. He rants about his brutal run-in with a couple of foul-mouthed birds that wouldn't shut up. Beauty locks onto the culprits and points straight at the Albert tribe, just another pack of sacred beasts. Bucci bluntly admits they're notorious liars with nasty tempers, and Akihito gets it instantly, no question about it. When Bucci asks, "So humans can't climb?" Akihito grits his teeth and admits it's his own weakness holding him back. Bucci lets out a heavy sigh, then steels himself. Fine, if it has to be done, he'll handle it personally. With a cat's effortless grace, Bucci darts up the tree while Akihito cheers him on. Bucci bursts back in wearing a jacket stuffed to the brim with ripe, juicy mangoes, an overflowing bounty. Akihito thanks him again and again, swearing he'll repay him. Then Bucci smirks because he's got a plan brewing. Bucci blurts out that he wants mat and clams, and Akihito just repeats that weird name like he's trying to memorize it. As Bucci describes that long, skinny clam, Akihito's eyes light up. He suddenly realizes he knows exactly how to catch it. Akihito vows to grab the clams, and Bucci grins, telling him, "No rush, take your time." Pumped up by his brand new mission, Akihito bolts toward the sea right away. He grabs his jacket stuffed with mangoes, then decides to dump them at camp first. The waves pound the shore in a steady roar, and that rhythm tells him he's finally here. He trudges across the slick, wet sand, staring out as the endless, glittering ocean sprawls in front of him. His eyes rake across the sand, and just like that, he spots the clam's telltale holes in a flash. He drops into a crouch, eyes narrowing as he remembers that TV show where they taught you how to trap them with salt. It hits him in a flash, he needs salt first, and he needs it now. He checks his status, and realizes he's one choice away from blowing his last 2 points on a bag of salt. He backs out of buying it, and goes for a smarter, greener solution instead. He burns his last 2 points, and pulls a rock-solid metal cooking pot straight out of his menu. He hoists the pot into the air, and vows that he'll brew his very own salt straight from the sea. Diving back into those old science lessons, he scavenges rocks and slams together a tiny, makeshift furnace. He crunches the numbers and figures that 2 liters of seawater should give him around 60 grams of salt. His very first try to spark the damp kindling backfires, and thick smoke blasts straight into his face. He hacks and sputters like crazy, furiously waving that deadly, accurate smoke out of his face. Wiping away his burning tears, he can't stop wishing he had a 1-point fire starter for Olivia. He realizes the kindling he hauled in is soaked and useless, and he's got to hunt down fresh, dry wood. He lets out a frustrated sigh, realizing this is going to drag on for ages. He drops to his knees, defeated to the core, absolutely sure he's letting Bucci down. He can't stop thinking about Bucci's kindness, and he's blown away because he never expected any favor back. Determination burns bright in his eyes as he flat-out refuses to quit. He clenches his fists, burning with the urge to repay his friend's kindness. He sprints back and forth into the forest, grabbing even more firewood with renewed fire in his step. He grinds through hours without rest, feeding the flames and churning pot after pot of seawater. He vows like it's guaranteed that he'll absolutely pull off making the salt for his friend. At last, after the struggle drags on, he watches the water turn heavy as salt crystals start to form. He lifts the pot high like he's won a championship, proudly displaying that tiny, stubborn 1 pile of salt. He grabs a tiny pinch, rolls it on his tongue, salty but straight up delicious, and decides to stay calm and wait it out. Wiped out from all that hard work, he drops onto the sand and finally sinks into a well-earned rest. He stares out over the ocean, and you can tell that simple joy hits him hard because he made it with his own hands. He decides to hunt down the clams tomorrow since it's getting late, and because Olivia is on her way back. He stumbles back to camp and spots Olivia, pale as a ghost, her hair hanging limp like every ounce of strength has been drained. He's totally rattled by the way she's been crushed and looks sick, and he can't stop thinking, what happened to her? He charges to her side, shouting her name as he demands what's wrong with her drills. She drops her gaze in shame and pours out non-stop apologies, beating herself up for failing to catch her prey. He leans in and reassures her, telling her she doesn't have to apologize, everything's okay. She tells him she spotted a deer, but since it was a holy night, she couldn't bring herself to kill it. Akihito snaps her out of the spiral, telling her not to beat herself up, because he fully understands how trapped her situation really is. He scrambles to lift her spirits and hands her the mangoes he snatched from Butcha. He tells her, let's grab one right now and save the rest for breakfast tomorrow. He starts peeling one for her, and the moment he does, he realizes she might have never had to do this before. He grabs that juicy fruit and takes a huge, satisfying bite right in front of her, daring her to see how good it is. His eyes flare with pure joy as he blurts out that this is the tastiest mango he's ever had. Olivia stares at him, and for a split second, her sadness gets totally wiped out by his wild, upbeat reaction. He thrusts the mango toward her and practically begs, try it, because that fruit is outrageously delicious. With a tiny, hesitant sound, Olivia finally nibbles the mango Akihito offers her. Her eyes flare wide and she breathes out in a whisper, that's delicious. By the crackling fire, she turns to him and lays out her most heartfelt offerings, straight from the soul. Akihito watches her and realizes she's still weighed down, running on fumes instead of her usual bright, electric energy. He chews thoughtfully, clocking every option, trying to figure out the perfect way to lift her mood right this second. His face hardens with pure determination, then he decides to grab a ton of clams just to lift her spirits. One lone, ominous raindrop splattered onto the dusty ground right by his foot. Another cold drop splashes his cheek, and he can't help wondering, has the rain finally started? In the blink of an eye, the sky rips open, and a brutal downpour crashes down all at once. Aikido yells to make sure Olivia's okay as she shields herself from the stinging rain. With a ferocious hiss, the deluge slams down and snuffs out their precious campfire on the spot. Akihito tells her, I'll call up a rain shelter, then begs her to hold on for just a second. He whips through the menu at lightning speed, then remembers that one key item, so cheap it only costs a single point. With a dramatic flourish, he whips out a huge blue tarp and swears it'll keep them bone dry. He snatches a thick, sturdy branch and plans to jam it in as a makeshift tent pole. As he fights to get the shelter up, he glances over, and the fire is totally dead. He realized the darkness would only drag her mood lower, and then bam, some sudden noise jolted him out of his thoughts. Olivia lunges at him and clamps her hands onto his shirt, gripping like her life depends on it. Akihito's jaw drops, pure shock flashes across his face as he stares, utterly stunned at her sudden move. Olivia buries her face in his chest, vanishing from everything happening around them. He stares down at her shaking body, panicking as he demands, what's wrong? In the pounding rain, Akihito shields her clothes, and her hand clamps down on his shirt like she's terrified to let go. He whips his head around the dark, storm-battered clearing, totally thrown by what's happening. He jolts back, realizing something is horribly wrong with Olivia. He stares down at her with real worry, then asks again, straight up, what the heck happened? He feels the violent tremors shaking her to the core, and he blurts out, are you okay? Her voice comes out as a strangled whisper, and she murmurs about the suffocating darkness closing in around her. The truth slams into him as the storm roars, her terror is soaked into every drop, and the darkness feels alive. He ushers her beneath the tarp and notices something's badly wrong, her fear isn't normal. He grabs her attention, swears everything's going to be okay now, and tries to calm her down for real. He grips the shelter tight, swearing he won't go anywhere, he's right there beside her. He huddles under the tarp, heart pounding, watching the storm rage on with zero sign it'll ever let up. He leans in and spots Olivia still cowering there, trembling so hard she can't control it. He stares at her trembling body, and helplessness crushes his expression like it's out of his hands. He clenches his fist, furious and helpless, watching her pain and hating that he can't do a thing. Suddenly, a weird warmth and pure energy explodes through his whole body. He stares at this wild new power like it's a riddle, and can't stop wondering if it's exactly what he's been suspecting. Then it hits him in a flash, somehow he's leveled up just from camping. With those points back in his pocket, he reassures Olivia, everything's finally under control now. Crushed by terror, Olivia keeps trembling, her hands slammed over her face as she can't stop shaking. A blinding flash of light erupts as a solar-powered lantern, priced at 2 points, materializes right in front of you. He thrusts the lantern toward her and blurts out an apology, explaining he took too long to get her some light. Olivia slowly lifts her gaze, and tear-filled eyes widen as that warm, comforting glow washes over her. He smiles softly and tells her, "You can rest, nothing will ever snuff the light." Her eyes gleam bright with tears of gratitude as she locks onto his kind face. He sets the lantern down right beside her, casting a warm light that slices through the darkness and screams, "You're safe." The very next morning, the storm finally broke, and the clouds parted to reveal a blazing blue sky. Golden sunlight spills through the treetops as fresh water drips off the newly washed leaves. Akihito shoots his arms wide, stretches deep, and feels that satisfying rush of energy after sleeping the whole night. He stands up proud, looks the world in the eye, and says the sky's crystal clear. Today's gonna be a great day. He realized that because of the lantern, Olivia finally dropped her guard, calmed down, and fell asleep. He stares at her sleeping face, and the question hits him hard: did something in the dark leave a scar? He doesn't push it, he backs off and vows to wait until she's ready to spill everything herself. He promises that the second she stays on this island, he'll stay right there too, until her smile never fades. He clings to every note, ready to use them to help her, then something slams into the moment and cuts him off. A fresh screen pops up right after he levels, showing a skill point roulette he can slam spin for his next upgrade. He spots his opening. He can spin the roulette once every 2 days while he's stuck camping. He slams the start button, bracing himself to gamble it all on fate. The wheel whips around fast and he closes his eyes, praying for a mountain of points. With a fierce shout, he slams the button to kill the spinning wheel. The wheel clicks to 19 and he erupts in cheers. His total rockets to a massive 24 points. Now that he's stacked with fresh wealth, he wastes no time and goes straight for the camp food skill first. A warm glow wraps around him the second he cracks the new ability wide open. He cheers again, and this time he unlocks Pro of Preparation too. Now he's a legit skilled cook. This new skill lets him prep for whatever game Olivia drags back. No messing around, he's ready for it every time. He cracks open his last points and buys camping supplies, only for Olivia. He's praying she'll finally be happy, so she'll never have to feel that terrified again. Olivia keeps snoozing like a rock, curled into a tight ball just to trap every bit of warmth. The campsite lay eerily calm, and the fire crackled softly while the morning sun spilled over everything. Olivia snaps awake, mortified to her core, and blurts out a heartfelt apology for her embarrassing behavior. Akihito beams, saying good morning, right as she peeks out from the shelter. He leans in, tells her to stop worrying, and really checks if she's feeling all right. He drops his surprise right in front of her, a brand new 10-inch tarp he bought just to lift her spirits. He fires up the tarp's magic glow, then tells them, "Let's build it together," like it's their next big move. Olivia's heart slams in her chest when she realizes he didn't buy any of this for himself, he bought it all for her. He decides breakfast comes first, he digs into the leftovers, and that's when his food gotcha hits. The gotcha spits out a box packed with instant clam chowder powder. He even calls in a whole outdoor cookware set, then cooks up a real, proper meal. Olivia can't look away as he tips that strange powder into the bowls like it's something powerful. He pours hot water from the kettle, and the steam curls up, warm and welcoming like an open invitation. He thrusts a bowl into her hands, then orders her to stir it properly and savor that gorgeous aroma. She leans in and takes a tiny, careful sip of the warm soup, like she's afraid it might burn her heart before it even comforts her. Her eyes spark with joy as she whispers, "It's delicious." She shuts her eyes and lets that warm, soothing soup wash over her like a tidal wave of comfort. Akihito watches her and breaks into a warm, gentle smile, clearly relieved she's finally at peace. Olivia gets a burst of energy and announces she's ready to raise the tent, and she'll take care of all the heavy lifting. Akihito beams as she realizes her spirit is back, and without hesitation she agrees to begin. They team up. Akihito demonstrates how to tie the ropes for the tent, right alongside her. Olivia is practically buzzing with excitement over this brand new experience, something she was never allowed to touch before. Akihito daydreams about a life where she's finally free, no more rules that stop her from cooking, cleaning, or even dressing herself. A sharp pang of sympathy hits him as he realizes how suffocating her life must have been. With one last hard pull, the tent snaps into place, and they both stand there soaked in pride, knowing they just built it together. Olivia gapes at it in total disbelief, whispering that it's the very first tent she's ever built. Akihito stares at her, and in his eyes there's this calm, warm understanding that feels like pure affection. He suggests they hit the beach together and go clam digging right now. They hit the shore and soft waves lap at the sand like they're whispering secrets. Akihito drops to his knees and tells them the first move: hunt down a tiny hole. He tosses salt into the hole, baiting that clam to crawl right out. With a violent whoosh, a razor clam rockets out of its burrow in the sand. Akihito lunges in and snatches it instantly, then triumphantly raises their very first catch like a trophy. Akihito bursts with pride, hoisting the clam he just snatched out of the water like it's victory in his hands. He leans in, fires up Olivia's sparkly gaze, and dares her to give it a shot. She's instantly hooked, practically giddy as she calls clam digging the most amazing fun ever. She streaks across the sand at shocking speed, snatching up clams like they're targets. Their game screeches to a stop the moment they realize the salt is completely gone. He figures out that this tiny catch won't get them anywhere. Olivia whips her head toward him, and fresh resolve sparks in her mind. She vows to dig her way through, then unleashes a monstrous blast of pure power. Dozens of clams crashed down like rain, and Akihito's eyes went wide in pure shock. Their job is done, now the pot's stuffed to the very brim. Their haul of fresh razor clams is way bigger than they ever dreamed. Olivia practically bursts with joy because now they can finally give their minion friends the proper thanks they deserve. While Olivia heads out to grab the minions, Akihito gets the clams ready. He slams down his proof of preparation asterisk and uses it to handle the job. In the blink of an eye, his skill whips through every clam and leaves them spotless. He sprawls down and waits like a hunter, staring at the trail until the others finally come stumbling back to camp. Olivia bursts back in, and with her come the ecstatic Buchi and Tama, right on her heels. He grins and proudly drags them into the massive haul of fresh clams. He humbly hands all the credit for that catch straight to Olivia. Buchi barges in with a shocking surprise, a huge block of butter. Akihito tells Olivia to roll up her sleeves and give cooking the clams a shot. She blurts out her hesitation because she's never cooked a single meal in her life. She takes a deep breath, nods, and commits, ready to give it everything she's got. The clams hit the pan and sizzle like crazy, while buttery heaven fills the air. She panics a little, but Akihito stays cool and reassures her with steady confidence. That mouthwatering aroma hangs in the air, and the minions are all but vibrating with eager anticipation. With trembling hands, she nervously presents the finished butter-sautéed clam dish. The starving minions don't even hesitate. They dive straight into the feast and start tearing it apart. Everyone at once bursts into a unanimous scream of pure delight. She swallowed her nerves and asked for their verdict, and the answer hit her like a wave, overwhelmingly positive. Thomas gratefully thanks her for cooking such an incredible meal. Olivia's face lights up. She's clearly shaken because she's not used to praise that hits this deep. Akihito pushes her to taste the food she makes herself. She finally takes her first bite, hesitant for half a second, then hoping it tastes as good as she dreamed. A sudden surge of emotion hits her out of nowhere, and the moment she tastes it, everything shifts. She's so overwhelmed by that simple, mouth-watering flavor that tears spill down her face. Akihito spots her tears instantly, then leans in and demands, "What's wrong?" She wipes her tears fast, forcing a smile and insisting, "I'm fine." She can't believe it. Her very first meal hits so good it leaves her stunned. Akihito fixes his eyes on her and breaks into a warm, gentle smile. He tells her to ditch her noble duties and finally cut loose, just for once. The idea of living free hits her like a revelation, and suddenly everything feels possible. He leans in and vows that her secret is locked up tight with him. She finally gets it. She can do the simplest things without fear or judgment. A gut punch realization hits her. She doesn't have to pretend anymore. She can finally be her true self. He stands by her with unwavering devotion, cheering her on as she finally breaks free. Her heart gets shattered in the best way by his kindness and raw sincerity. She locks eyes with him and gratitude floods her chest. She flashes him a brilliant smile, and you can feel the gratitude in every word as she thanks him for everything. Her radiant smile hits him like lightning, and his heart skips a beat. He smiles right back, and the warmth in his voice says the feeling's mutual. They steal a quiet moment where real happiness finally takes over, just the two of them, smiling like it matters. Those silly minions totally misread her emotional tears and somehow make it even funnier. She tries to talk it through, but they just won't believe a word of it. They rave about her cooking and practically beg her to whip up another meal soon. Her confidence rockets sky high, and with a bright grin, she can't wait to cook again. Akihito exhales in relief, seeing her glow with happiness and stand there fearless and confident. She bursts into a laugh so full of pure joy it feels like nothing can touch her. The joyous party rolls on nonstop, and everyone crowds around, begging for more food. Later that night, a chilling, mysterious noise crawls in from the shoreline. A massive shadow swells up out of the dark ocean waves, and the water can't hide it anymore. From far off, a sea lion beast keeps watch over their camp, unmoving and deadly. The very next morning, Akihito jolts awake feeling fully charged and ready to go. He still can't help smiling as he recalls the wild clam party from last night. He flicks open his status screen, and there it is, 9 points burning a hole in his pocket, ready to be spent. He finally decides it's time to crack open a brand new combat skill. Olivia smiles at him the moment he starts weighing his fresh, new skill choices. She presses a warm, freshly boiled cup of tea into his hands. He lays out his crazy plan. He's determined to learn how to swing an axe. Olivia nods fast and smirks, telling him she's got the swordplay covered herself. They both realize that hiding each other's weak spots is the move that can win the whole game. A quiet, unstoppable partnership sparks between the two of them. Once their plans locked in, they waste zero time and go straight for breakfast. He realizes that a plain banana just won't cut it to keep them going. He pulls the food gotcha move and scores a whole container of potatoes. Olivia can't wait. She volunteers to cook again, letting him guide every step. She proudly holds up her potatoes, freshly scrubbed and shining like they've been polished for battle. With pure excitement bursting in her chest, she swings the blade and chops the potatoes like a pro. She stares at the pot, grinning wide as the potatoes start to boil. He tosses in the last of their salt, then drops in Bucci's butter to finish the whole thing. Those butter potatoes are ready, simple, golden, and absolutely delicious for breakfast. A fork plunges into that perfectly cooked potato like it was butter. They both take one bite, and the flavor hits so hard their faces light up with pure delight. They dig into a simple meal, and for a precious moment, everything just feels calm and shared. Akihito blurts that he's starving for some meat or fish. Olivia declares, with fire in her eyes, that she's going to snag meat for dinner. She rockets into her hunt, and he can only send her off with a hopeful burst of luck. Seeing how determined she was, he clenched his resolve and decided, "All right, I'm going fishing too." He stomps up to the rocky shoreline, fired up and ready to cast his line and start fishing. He drops into a crouch beside the tide pool, gripping a bucket in his hand. He spots tiny crabs and darting fish swimming through the crystal-clear water. He can't stop worrying if those creatures are even safe to eat. He fires up his skill tree in his head, mapping out exactly what upgrade he'll grab next. A strange presence suddenly sends him snapping his head up from the water. He locks eyes with a sea lion beastkin, perched on a rock and staring straight at him. He drifts back to that brutal run-in with the birds, and now he's on edge, ready to flinch at anything that flies. He decides to be friendly and carefully raises his voice, calling out to it like he's trying not to scare it off. The sea lion flicks him a quick, dismissive look like it doesn't care at all. Then it snaps away completely, shutting him out and brushing off his greeting like he doesn't even matter. Right when he's about to quit, it suddenly snaps into action and makes a sound, like it's finally decided to listen. On the jagged rocky shore, Akihito steps up with perfect manners and introduces himself to a bizarre sea lion dressed in a vest. He jabs at a tide pool and asks if those tiny crabs and fish are safe to chow down on. That grumpy sea lion's bark screams, "Hey, I'm on the menu," but the meal doesn't exactly sound worth chewing. Akihito still thanks the creature and tells it anything it brings will be more than welcome. With a lazy little grunt, the sea lion flicks its head away like it doesn't care. Then it slams into the ocean with a thunderous splash, vanishing the moment the waves swallow it up. Akihito can't shake the feeling the creature might hate humans, but he steels himself anyway and decides to fish for himself. He dives in, gripping his luck with bare hands, determined to snatch the tiny tide pool creatures one by one. For a while he just splashed around like a wrecking ball, clumsy and desperate, trying to grab anything at all. After 10 relentless minutes, he proudly raises a single tiny fish like it's the biggest win in the world. He's grinning over his catch until the truth hits. This method will drag on way too long. He tosses the fish back and mutters that he's gonna need a real fishing rod if he wants to catch anything worth keeping. All at once, a brutal splash erupts and something crashes onto the rock right beside him. He freezes in disbelief, staring at this massive bundle of giant fish, all tied up tight with seaweed. He realizes that sea lion's voice is the exact same one, so it wasn't random, it came to lure him in. With a quick splash, that clever sea lion plunges back into the ocean and disappears like it never existed. Gratitude crashes over Akihito, so he cups his hands and bellows a heartfelt thank you, like he means it. With that pot of fish cradled in his arms, he can't help but think about how the kind creature truly went out of its way. He stares at the fish like they just swam into the world, then catches himself feeling weirdly awkward about that huge, generous gift. With that bounty screaming his name, he can't keep it to himself, so he storms straight for the minion village. He bursts into a cozy little village, all tucked in beneath giant, whimsical mushrooms. Bucci, the patched-faced minion, throws him a big warm welcome, practically beaming because he's finally back again. Tama barrels up excitedly, blurting, "What brings you here?" while his nose twitches like he's sniffing out secrets. When Aikido pulls out that pot of fresh fish, the minion's eyes light up like fireworks. They call him a master fisherman, but he downplays it. He swears a sacred beast blessed him with the gift. Butcha clicks at the description and immediately clocks the creature as one of the Ishika tribe. He tells them Ashikas don't wear hats at all. They march in with scallop shells on their heads, serving the half-fishmen. Now Akihito finally gets it. The sea lion he met wasn't just any animal, it was one of the Ashika. He leans in and asks what the Ashika are really like, his mind racing over whether they're still nursing a grudge against humans. Bucci lays it out: the Ashika are a tribe drowning in contradictions, trapped in messy truths they can't ever fully reconcile. All tangled up, Akihito demanded that Butcha explain the contradictions he kept throwing around. Bucci admits they're shy to the core, but their heart is pure, always ready to help, even if talking to people trips them up. They're obsessed with grilled fish, but the moment they fumble near the fire, sparks fly, and they end up getting burned. Bucci even points out that this internal tug-of-war makes their shoulders go comically stiff. The minions beg him to treat Ishika with kindness, and Akihito nods like he gets it instantly. Back at his and Olivia's camp, he rolls up his sleeves and starts cooking that massive gift of fish. He taps into his magical preparation skill, and the fish are instantly ready to hit the fire. A spotless fish lies on a wooden plank, sizzling ready and just waiting to hit the fire and get grilled. With one sharp command, he conjures a real Santoku knife to help him slice everything up. He's gearing up to whip up salt-grilled mackerel and smother it in a cozy soup for his minion pals. While the fish sizzles over the flames, he jolts at Olivia's voice calling his name. Olivia stumbles back from her hunt, crushed to the core, with a dark, gloomy aura of failure clinging to her like a curse. He hands her a just grilled fish, and that mouth-watering aroma instantly lifts her spirits. He admits he didn't grab it himself, then pushes the idea, "Come on, eat while we talk." He tells you about his wild, mind-blowing run-in with a genuinely kind member of the Ishika tribe. Olivia stared in shock, completely blown away by what happened to him today. He fesses up, yeah, he wanted to befriend the creature, but the fear that it might hate him is what kept gnawing at him. Olivia whips around to face him, and that sudden serious look totally knocks the wind out of him. She stands tall and says, no doubt about it, he'll befriend them, she swears it. Her unshakable belief in him hits like lightning, and his heart skips a beat, leaving him totally flustered. He can't help but think how kind and gentle Olivia is to trust him with that much faith. He thanks her, then swears he'll head back to the sea later to try and catch it again. He's over the moon they're finally friends, but deep down, he's scared that getting closer could spell danger. He's painfully aware that the moment the next ship docks, Olivia will be forced to tear herself away from the island. Just thinking about the goodbye waiting for them at the end already feels gut-wrenching, like I can barely breathe. The crackling campfire blazes like a warning, because their day of parting is creeping closer fast. He snaps his gaze upward, a fresh spark of resolve igniting in his chest as he decides to lock in on the time they still have right now. Olivia thanks him for the meal, then swears she'll hunt even harder from this moment on. They trade hopeful smiles as she cuts back into the forest to give it one more shot. He watches her disappear, then forces himself to slow down, because right now the smartest move is to stay sharp and careful. He can't stop thinking about that Ashika love-grilled fish, so he decides to snatch one and bring it back as a gift. He leans over the rocky shore, eyes blazing across the horizon, hunting for his brand-new sea lion buddy. He finally spots the creature perched on a far-off rock and blurts, "There you are." He tiptoes up with a soft greeting, trying to keep his voice gentle so the shy beast doesn't bolt. The Sea King is still stunned, and before anyone can react, it scrambles to slip right back into the water. Akihito snaps, "Hold up, wait," and explains he showed up with grilled fish as a thank you. The sea lion shuts down the fish questions and with a grin confirms, yeah, it's a gift. When he asks if it hates fish, the creature shoots back no and immediately looks away. He can't help wondering, does that sudden, quick denial mean he's secretly crazy about the fish? He sets the offering down, nods like it's proof, and tells it, "That meal was amazing, thank you." A sea lion creeps up to the offering, then chows down on the grilled fish like it's about to run out of time. Akihito crouches nearby, grinning warmly as he watches the creature devour its meal with pure joy. He clears his throat, reintroduces himself, and leans in, asking the creature to finally say its name. A sea lion cranes its neck toward the open ocean and gives one gentle bark, Toby. Akihito's face lights up with pure joy, and he can't stop thanking Toby now that he's finally told him his name. Toby shoots him a shy little sideways look, and you can tell she's genuinely thrilled by how happy he reacts. Then he spins back toward the ocean and keeps right on munching his delicious gift like it's the best thing he's ever tasted. Akihito can't help but think, Toby is a kind, sacred beast for what he's doing for me. Right then he makes up his mind, he'll find the perfect way to repay Toby for his kindness. Right as they settle in side by side, a shadowy, ominous mass suddenly surges up out of the ocean. Beneath the waves, two glowing, menacing eyes blaze out of the dark, like they're hunting you. A giant monster tears out of the sea with a thunderous blast, spraying a wall of white water everywhere. Akihito and Toby get blindsided when a massive, sudden disturbance erupts out of nowhere. Akihito shoots down on instinct, throwing himself in the way as a monstrous wave blasts seawater everywhere. The creature slams down like a meteor, and Akihito barrels forward to shield Toby from the blast. He jerks his head up, eyes wide, as a gigantic tentacled monster hangs right over them like a nightmare from nowhere. He shoots Toby a quick "You okay?" and the sea lion replies with a tiny, reassuring nod. Toby yanks the water off his head, and annoyance snaps across his face. His precious scallop shell hat got yanked out of place when the splash hit with full force. The shell slips off his head and crashes onto the wet rocks, clattering like a warning. Toby lets out a furious shout and snatches his precious hat right back up. Right then, two sleek killer whales broke the surface, chattering like crazy as they surged toward Toby. Akihito is totally thrown off because those creatures give off this weird, almost playful vibe that he just can't make sense of. Toby snaps at him to step back, and it only piles more onto his already spiraling confusion about what's even going on. Akihito jolts to the truth that everyone here is just a bunch of pranksters, but somehow he can't wrap his head around it. Toby tells everyone he's a full-blown prankster, and it's all because the half-fishman got into his head. Akihito is left completely stunned by the sea lion's bizarre, nonsensical explanation. Then the giant fish grins and smacks Toby around, and he crashes and tumbles straight into the water. The ocean heaves as that wild parade of sea creatures finally kicks off and starts to drift away. Akihito sits alone on the rocks, staring at the crashing waves, utterly stunned by everything that just happened. Clinging to the edge of the cliff, Akihito shouts down, yelling if his buddy Toby is all right. He can't shake the fear that after that chaotic prank, the sea lion won't come back today. He can't stop replaying that wild sight, the giant fish crashing in, while killer whales hunt like machines. He can't stop thinking about how he wishes he'd finally found the chance to thank Toby for that fish he brought earlier. Those sea lion tears, his desperate words about being only half a person, kept haunting his mind over and over. He decides to hang tight for a moment, praying his friend pops back into view. He slumps on the cliff, staring out at the world, wishing he could do something, anything to help. Suddenly, a burst of bubbles erupts through the calm ocean water, like something massive is about to surface. With a thunderous splash, Toby rockets out of the sea, full of pure energy. Akihito spots those two killer whales again, and this time they're chasing him with gleeful fury. He shouts Toby's name as the sea lion lovingly bumps him with its nose. Toby grins like he's up to something and slips back into the water, all playful mischief. He flicks a quick wink, then slips straight back into the waves. Far away, the killer whales keep tearing through the water in pure chaos, still playing their high-energy game with Toby. The ocean heaves and roars as they crash through it, spray flying, chaos bursting, pure play in every wave. Akihito scans the shore, frantic, but when he finally looks up, his friend is already gone. He spots a dark silhouette perched on a far-off rock, and his heart starts racing. Could it be Toby? The creature whips around, and fear slams into Akihito like a shockwave. A monstrous devil rat bares its teeth and screams in pure rage, fangs bared. Akihito's eyes snap wide with raw, unfiltered terror. Pure horror hits him. He realizes he's standing face to face with a deadly monster. Oh no, Olivia, his powerful protector, has completely vanished. He scrambles to check himself and panic hits, no weapon, no backup, and he's completely alone. Sharp claws grind into the rock as the creature coils up, ready to explode forward in a devastating lunge. It rockets through the air, just a smeared streak of mangy black fur and raw, unstoppable rage. He flings himself backward at the last second, and the monster's jaws clamp shut inches from his face. He scrambles back, but the uneven rocks betray him, and he slips hard on his feet. He remembers Olivia warning him that these creatures weren't exactly built for fighting. But once he saw that terrifying maw up close, he immediately knew there was no way he was going anywhere near it. He's fully aware that without a weapon, he's got zero chance at all. The second devil rat crashes into the hunt and barrels forward nonstop, swallowing every inch of space. A wave of panic crashes over him. He realizes he's about to get caught. He's yelling for a powerhouse weapon, and he frantically slams his status screen into action. The monster's jaws slam shut the instant he makes that razor-thin decision. In a burst of light, a massive object starts forming right in his hands. He roars defiance with the axe as it finally completes its deadly form. He whips the axe around with everything he's got, and it lands with a brutal, gut-churning thud. He slams the weapon down one more time and ends the monster for good, blasting the battlefield with a violent spray. The second devil rat screams in pure terror and bolts straight into the wild. He pants hard as it vanishes, staring after it like, did I really drive it off? He crumples to the ground, wiped out, staring at the ceiling like, I barely made it, I actually survived. His gloved hand, still locked on the axe handle, shakes hard as adrenaline crashes through him. He sinks down among the rocks, replaying the monster he just crushed in his head. He can't stop thinking about Olivia. She would have wiped out that creature in the blink of an eye. He tightens his fist and makes a fierce promise to himself. He's going to ask her to train him for what's coming next. Right as he sits down, a familiar head suddenly bursts up from the water near him. Toby blurts out Akihito's name, his face twisted with worry. The young sea lion lets out a soft sigh, his worry crashing down for his human friend. Akihito snapped around, shocked for a split second, then breathes out in pure relief as he spots him. He locks eyes on Toby splashing in the water, and Toby lets out a tiny sound just to yank his attention. Akihito practically burst with joy as he grabbed Toby's attention and admitted he'd been dying just to talk to him. Toby shoots a question at Akihito like, are you talking to me? He scrambles onto the rocks, jabs Akihito's side and blurts, are you hurt? Akito flashes a smile like he just caught the whole fight, then he nods to himself, confirming he's okay, only shaken and startled. Toby throws out a quick apology, admitting he was so far away that he couldn't reach in time to help. Akihito fires off a quick thank you, then leans in and asks if Toby's okay after that prank. Toby breaks it down. This wild, over-the-top prank was his way of saying thank you to Akihito. Akihito feels the weight of that strange yet deeply heartfelt gesture, and it hits him right in the feels. Toby just watches in silence, and you can feel their friendship click into place for good. After a calm, cozy beat of silence, Toby shifts the conversation and brings up something totally new. With a bashful grin, he admits that the grilled fish was absolutely mouth-watering. Akihito's eyes go wide at the compliment, and he blurts out a heartfelt thank you. With a huge, real smile, he beams at Toby and tells him, you're welcome, come on in. He offers to cook again if Toby brings more fish, and his friend lights up and nods right away. Akihito blurted, so why did you all call me a half-person? Toby drops his gaze with a heavy sigh, wondering why everyone keeps being so cruel to him. He tells them that for the Ashika tribe, hats aren't just clothing, they're everything. They're the stamp of adulthood. Every single member earns them as their rite of passage. Everyone else has grabbed their hat, but he's still standing there, empty-handed, hatless, and stuck in the spotlight. He swears he can outswim everyone, then keeps pushing farther and farther, always hunting for what's next. But since he's still just half a person, he swallows his pain and never dares to complain. He tilts his head onto Akihito's shoulder, letting his guard drop for one raw, vulnerable moment. Akihito fires back with fierce conviction, insisting Toby is doing his best and that he's got nothing to do with the blame. He leans in and tells Toby, yeah, I'm kind and I work my tail off, I just can't catch a break. Toby freezes, stunned by his own mouth, because he blurts out that Akihito is a weird human. The sea lion locks eyes with him, and suddenly that stare turns into pure curiosity mixed with respect. Akihito can't stop thinking, what kind of hat has to be so special that the Ishika people would treasure it? A wild spark hits him. Suddenly, a brilliant plan lights up his mind. He leaned in and asked Toby what kind of hat he'd want to get. The moment he hears it, the straw hat snaps into focus and knows exactly what he has to do. With a snap of pure magic, a stunning straw hat pops into existence out of nowhere, like the universe just decided it was time. He hands Toby the hat right then and there, as a thank you gift for the kindness Toby showed him earlier. Tobias froze in shock, tears spilling as he stared with wide, watery eyes and blurted, "Is this hat for me?" Akihito nods, and that young sea lion just softly takes the gift like it was meant for them. He grips the hat like it's sacred, and pure wonder lights up his eyes. With a gentle touch, he slowly lifts it onto his head, like it matters more than anything. Akihito cheers like crazy as he strikes a proud, grown-up pose, straight up nailing that "it looks perfect" moment. Tobai's overwhelmed with emotion as he thanks Akihito again and again, like he can't say it enough. He's so overwhelmed with gratitude that he can barely get a single word out. Akihito's face lights up with a warm smile, and he can't stop grinning because his friend absolutely loves the gift. He tells them he really hopes they'll pull up a seat and do this kind of talk again, soon. Two friends huddle on the rocks, staring out at the calm sea like it's hiding the next big secret. They sink into a calm, golden silence together on the shore, just the two of them, no worries for a moment. From afar, two arrogant Albert birds stare them down with sharp suspicion. Back at camp, Akihito hefts his shiny new axe and drags a log straight to the fire. With one crushing swing, he cleaves the log cleanly in half. He can't stop marveling as his camping tool's skillment guides his muscles like magic. Relief and pride hit him hard. He finally got a real weapon in his hands. He looks back on that brutal, winding journey, and on every point he burned to claw his way here. But then a smug grin snaps onto his face, because every new day screams that another level up is right around the corner. With a slash of drama, Akita declares, "I'm spinning the roulette and I'm going for the points." Sleepy-eyed, Olivia crawls out of the tent and tells him, "Good morning." Still half asleep, she lurches forward and face plants with a startled cry. Her hand comes crashing down on the stop button on his screen by pure accident. The two of them crash down to the floor in a messy, tangled heap. Standing right in front of her, he demands to know if she's okay as she panics, stammering out an apology. Her eyes go wide with pure embarrassment when she finally realizes just how close he is. She shoots off him at once, stammering apologies for tripping and for getting way too close. Akihito shoots a look at his screen and freezes in shock because he just won 36 points. For the rest, he explodes with a massive cheer, because that jackpot win just hit and he's riding pure victory. He blurts out a massive thanks to a totally bewildered Olivia. She's still clueless about what just happened. With all those points stacked up, he decides to cash them in on a whole suite of healing skills. Then with a snap of his preparation skill, he summons a top-tier, multi-purpose knife ready for anything. Olivia's eyes go huge as she leans in, staring in pure awe while he reveals the new blade. With more points than he'll ever need, he starts thinking, "All right, I can finally cash in and get them breakfast." He decides to hit the food gotcha not once but twice, just to bag them a real, proper meal. With a dramatic snap of magic, a mouth-watering club sandwich suddenly appears right in front of them. He blurts out how lucky he feels, while Olivia stares in awe at that mouth-watering food. The second gotcha pull spits out a huge, plain white tub, just like that. He pulls the ice cream out, and Olivia's face instantly lights up as she blurts out how much she loves sweets. Olivia panics it'll melt, and Akihito grins, saying they should pass it to the minions. She sinks a deep breath, feels the heat creeping in, and wishes she could unleash her ice magic just to freeze the whole day in its tracks. Akihito grins at her like he's cracked the code and then drops, "I've got exactly what you need." He rips open a special magic-powered refrigerant pack and summons a huge cooler box with it. He tells Olivia to charge the pack, and she lights up and happily takes the job. They show up at the whimsical minion village, tucked right between towering mushrooms like it's hiding a secret. Bucci beams at them as they come closer, hauling that huge cooler right in. The minions crowd in, eyes wide, and start firing off curious questions about the giant box. Akihito grins warmly and tells them, "I've got a tasty surprise, come, share it with me." Those words, delicious food, rippled through the whole village, lighting everyone up with pure excitement. He swings open the cooler and declares, loud and proud, that there's enough ice cream for everyone. The minions gawk at the weird white blob, and every single one wonders, can they actually eat it? Olivia admits she's never tried it, and Akihito grins like a dare, so he pushes them to take just a taste. Beauty bravely plunges into the first spoonful, and the whole village stares at him like their lives depend on it. Akihito and Olivia freeze in anticipation, praying he'll actually love the chilly treat. Bucci's eyes snap wide open, and he erupts in an earth-shattering roar of pure, unstoppable joy. He gushes, "It's amazing," then immediately admits he totally misjudged Akihito. Olivia grins from ear to ear, urging the eager minions to line up. She lights up with pure joy, and that fresh happiness spills out as she gladly serves her friends. Akihito stares at her, and the realization hits. This has to be her very first experience. Buchi grins at Akihito, tells him to quit staring, and grabs a bowl for himself. The minions sink their mouths into the new treat, scooping up huge spoonfuls like it's pure treasure. One of the cat people savors the sweet, icy goodness of that cold ice cream. The entire village erupts in pure euphoria, swearing it tastes like heaven itself. They clamor for more, grinning like, "This is so good we could devour it every single day." They start worshipping Akihito like he's a living god, saying he blesses them with wonderful things. A minion superfan practically jumps out of his skin and insists they should erect a bronze statue to honor him. Olivia giggles, started daydreaming about a gigantic statue of Akihito, the ice cream god. Flustered, Akihito blurts that it's nothing fancy, just simple eggs and milk. A minion stares in disbelief and blurts, "Wait, can I really make it myself?" Akihito tells them, "We can use goat's milk." Then he points at the next missing piece. "Now we just need eggs." Buchi leans in, staring off like he's hunting for the perfect lead. Where on earth could they even get bird eggs? Akita can't shake the fear they're the arrogant Albert birds, but Buchi waves the whole idea off like it's nothing. Buchi snaps, "No chickens exist, yet there's another bird out there." Akihito looked completely lost and demanded to know what other kind of eggs they could possibly get. Boogie's smile snaps into something ice cold as he spits out their deadliest target, the rock. He points to a monstrous bird towering over 12 meters, saying its nest sits 40 kilometers away. Bookie makes it crystal clear, if anyone gets caught stealing its egg, they'll be killed on the spot. The minions don't even flinch, they boldly call it a totally worth it gamble for more ice cream. Thomas proposes a crazy upgrade, don't just steal the egg, go grab a rock instead. Olivia jumps in with sparkling eyes, declaring that rock meat is delicious too. The minions are bouncing with pure joy, already salivating over a feast of roasted rock and ice cream. A tiny hunting crew forms on the spot, Akihito, Olivia, Butchai, and Tama, each one stubbornly determined to make it count. Akihito's sweating hard, terrified he's about to doom himself with a terrible, sinful mistake. He replays his plans in his head, weighing every risk and choosing exactly which skills to sharpen before that brutal trip. He spends his points to unlock the game-changing edibility judgment skill. Then he unlocks beginner's movement magic, teleportation that kicks in the second an emergency hits. With all their prep done, this tiny crew finally tears off and sets out. 4 adventurers burst into the deep, looming forest, ready for whatever horror or treasure waited among the trees. Butchai grabs Tama's attention and warns him to watch his step, because the path is getting way too treacherous. Tama fires back that he's always on his toes, while Buchi just trips and stumbles around like a walking disaster. At that exact second, Toma stumbled over a vine, got snagged, and yanked clean off his feet like he was caught in a trap. Buchi erupts in a scream of alarm, panicking that his friend might be in danger. He snaps that they've got to cut the vine right now, before it slams down and crushes Tama. Akihito's eyes flare wide as the solution hits him. He finally sees exactly how he can help. He strides forward with full confidence, telling the others, "Leave it to me, I've got this." With his knife in hand, he whips it out and declares, "I know exactly where to strike." He slams the pro of preparation skill on his body, turns into a blur as motion takes over. Those thick vines snap apart in a blink, carved clean through by slashes, so precise they feel unreal. Tama drops to the ground safely, completely unscathed by the trap that was seconds away from ending everything. Akihito snatched up the dizzy little minion, exhaling hard because he'd finally managed to save him. Olivia bolts over to Tama, and though she's rattled, Tama's surprisingly okay. The minions can't stop thanking Akihito and Olivia as they rush in and save the day. Olivia gushes over his swordplay, and he laughs it off. Turns out it's really just his cooking skills put to use. Suddenly, a vicious presence looms down from the canopy above them, like something hunting its prey. A sneering voice needles them, asking if they're really trying to prep the minions for eating. Akihito hears that infuriating voice, shoots a scowling glare up, and looks right at the source. 2 arrogant Albert birds loom overhead, perched high and laughing at them like, "Seriously, you need humans to help you." Tama is totally flustered, while Akihito quickly clears the air. He wasn't about to eat him. The birds burst into the sky, chirping like they're laughing at humans, because they're not scared of us in the slightest. Bucci shoots them a look as the sun drops toward the horizon, yelling that they've got to keep moving. Akihito nods immediately, then whirls back around and they hit the path again, racing forward on their journey. Boogie spots the brutal rocky slope ahead, right beside the jagged rocks where the nest sits. The party kicks off their brutal climb up the cliff face, one slip away from disaster. Up in the sky, the Albert birds glare down, furious that the party is totally ignoring them. They decide to strike hard, so the party has to look their way. Ikeda got blindsided by a barrage of fruit, and he yelped in shock the second it hit him. Olivia snapped her eyes up because the strike was coming from straight above. His edibility judgment locks onto every projectile and boom, turns them all into food. Akihito explodes in a furious roar, pounding his fist as he shouts that no one ever should waste a single bite of food. Akihito boldly sorted the fruit with precision, and Olivia, plus every minion there, couldn't stop staring at how good he was. The Albert birds are freaking out, staring like, wait, what just happened? And Akihito's acting totally off compared to normal. Akihito whips around toward the birds, and a chilling thought slams into his head out of nowhere. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes, then he realized he could eat the birds themselves. A status screen pops up in front of the birds, flashing the words edible, and the whole flock freezes in pure terror. Birds scatter in panic, shrieking that something is about to swallow them whole. Tom grins and crunches a banana, while Butcha can't stop staring at how insanely fast that bird is. Olivia heaps praise on Akihito, because his skinning skill is so deadly effective that it completely blows her away. Without any warning, the earth jerks and shudders like it's furious beneath their feet. Akihito cranes his neck and stares at the mountain thrashing, his mind screaming, is this an earthquake? Bucci's blood went cold as he screamed, instantly recognizing the sign of something far, far worse lurking ahead. He jabs a finger at the sky and shouts that the massive rock is coming back to roost. The earth splits and explodes into rubble as that massive monster plunges down toward the ground. Its impact detonates a massive shockwave, blasting dust and debris tearing across the cliffside. The rock slams in with a gut-punch screech, and its monstrous shadow swallows the sun whole. Akihito freezes in total shock, blurting out that this creature is straight up unbelievably huge. Before the dust even settles, a second massive boulder crashes down right beside the first. Then boom, a third rock crashes into the scene, and that menacing eye glares straight down at the intruders. All three rocks exploded into a single, furious screech, then braced themselves to tear into anything that dared touch their home. A tight close-up of that one rock's furious eye flashes, like it's staring straight through you with pure murderous intent. Bucci screams in pure panic, swearing the situation is dangerously real. One of the rock's dives comes out fast, sharp talons snap straight toward the minions. Massive claws crash into the rock with earth-shattering force that rattles everything. Thomas shrieks in pure terror, convinced he's about to get swallowed alive, and throws himself behind cover. He scrambles into a tight crevice at the very last second. The rock's talons swipe through the air by inches, but the minions cower together, safe for now. More rocks start circling overhead, lining up to smash into the intruders' attack. A vicious gust rips off its wings, and it slams Akihito straight to the ground. Olivia yanks him up and shoots, "You okay?" while he stammers, struggling to even process how massive it is. Bucci roars for Akihito, yelling at him to dive back into the safety of the forest cover. The party scrambles to their feet, chasing those minions hard as they race for safety. They push into the woods and Bucci blurts out the reason: those giant birds can't chase them in here. From their hiding spot, they stare in shock as all three rocks stand guard over their nest. Olivia studies their odds with a grim stare and admits she can only take on one of them, maybe two, before it all goes sideways. Bucci snaps that a frontal assault is suicide and pushes them to hang back, waiting for the perfect opening to strike. Olivia's eyes flare with pure excitement, and she can't wait to smash that opponent and snag some seriously delicious meat. Bucci nods along with Akihito's plan, putting the eggs first, and his mind starts racing with a strategy. He figures out that the minions can duck out of sight, but Akihito and Olivia are just too huge to hide. Akihito drops his ace. He unveils a teleportation skill that can whisk one other person with him. Bucci's eyes light up like fireworks as he grins and announces he's got a plan. He huddles the whole crew together and whispers the first shot of his risky plan. Three rocks quiver and grind in their nest atop the hierarchy cliff, shifting restlessly like they're about to wake the whole mountain. One of the birds fluffs up its feathers like it's about to bolt at any second. Before the next rock launches, it rumbles out low growls like it's warning the world. With that last rock shattered away, only 2 guards remain, standing watch over the precious eggs. The last birds jerk their heads around, eyes snapping to that eerie, unfamiliar sound. Hidden minions hurl oranges toward the nest, and they tumble in just to pull attention away. Boulders just stared at the fruit, totally baffled as fresh food suddenly showed up out of nowhere. Their curiosity bulldozes their duty, and they start pecking at the oranges. Buki and Tama huddle nearby, whispering, "It's working, our diversion is hitting perfectly." They keep hurling fruit, baiting those giant birds deeper and deeper away from the nest. While the rocks keep them busy, Buchi shoots a signal and tells the rest of the mission is up to Akihito. Akihito darts out from behind the rock, spotting his opening like it's right there to grab. He spots it, 2 huge, untouched white eggs sitting in the nest like they're begging to be taken. He tiptoes forward with every ounce of silence he can manage, and his heart slams against his ribs like it's trying to escape. He bursts into the nest and lets his gloved hand hover right above one of those massive eggs. With a determined grin blazing across his face, he snatches the egg and bolts, ready to make his escape. He grits his teeth, lunges to lift it, and freezes in shock as its massive weight slams him like it came out of nowhere. His face twists with strain as he blurts out, "That's insanely heavy." Olivia darts to his side, blurting, "What's wrong?" as he fights to crack the egg. She jumps in, offering to take over, and blasts it upward with her body enhancement skill. But their clumsy handoff slams together with a brutal scraping noise that echoes all the way across the cliff. One of the rocks erupts with a furious shriek, snapping its head straight toward the sound. They shoot their eyes upward in terror, stunned that their sneaky scheme has completely blown up. Akihito snatches up his axe in a flash, bracing to face that rampaging monster head-on. Olivia shrieks in alarm as the furious boulder barrels straight for them. Akihito whips around to face the danger, and grim determination hardens in his eyes. He roars for Olivia to drop, shoving her behind him as a shield. He holds the line as the final wall between his friend and that massive monster. The rock's beak crashes down, and Akihito gets slammed backward by the brutal shockwave. He can't stop trembling as the creature's overwhelming power crashes down on him. He can't wrap his head around it, one little chip to its talon, and the damage hits like a knockout. Olivia leans in and tells him, "If we want out, we've got to build an opening right now." The rocket slams in for another attack, and the beat drops like a wrecking ball, terrifying speed, brutal force. Akihito darts out of the way, shouting with fierce defiance that he's not letting it touch the egg. No way. He declares loud and clear that his only mission is to get everyone back safe and sound. Olivia stared at him, eyes blazing with feeling, moved to the core by his selfless courage. That third rock snaps backward and hurls into motion, and Boogie instantly knows their clock has run out. He roars the second part of the plan, then yells that it's time to head home. Akihito hears Butchai's voice and instantly knows exactly what he has to do to save everyone. He shouts at Olivia, ordering her to brace herself for his signal. With a thunderous shout, Olivia fires her Vance skill and hurls the egg straight at him. He snatches the opening just as she screams that she finally cracked the chance they needed. Akihito clutched the egg to his chest and fired up his movement magic, streaking straight toward the campsite. A brilliant burst of light detonates in midair, washing the 2 bewildered rocks in blinding glare. They burst back into their camp, crashing onto the ground in a dazed, tangled heap. Olivia cranes her neck and spots their tent right there, and pure relief hits. Yes, they made it. They lock hands and burst into laughter, celebrating their razor-thin but totally successful escape. Akihito crumples to the ground, utterly wiped out by the sheer force of that spell. They both bowed their heads, apologizing fast, then panic hit because their friends were still out there, left behind. Olivia lays out the rest of the plan and tells them where to meet, at the minion village. They stride into a calm, well-known forest where giant spotted mushrooms tower around them like living lanterns. Olivia is convinced the minions are safe, swearing that their island smarts will keep them out of trouble. Akihito clutches Butchai's secret plan in his mind, and trust in his clever friend burns bright. Right as they near the village clearing, they spot their friends waiting there for them. Buchi and Tama burst forward, grinning from ear to ear as they finally lay eyes on Akihito and Olivia, safe and sound. Every soul in the village erupts in celebration, cheering as the heroes finally come home safe, and the prize is theirs to claim. Akihito grins at Butchai and demands to know the wild secret behind his jaw-dropping escape plan. Buchi juts his chest out and declares, loud and proud, that his master plan was always to run. He tells them that Ice Cream's sweet promise pumped them all full of courage. Akihito drops 5 points to summon a giant, ball-shaped ice cream maker for the celebration. Bucci and Thomas lock eyes on that weird device, praying it can actually whip up ice cream for real. The minions swarm the bowl and gleefully mix the rock egg yolk, goat's milk, and sugar into one irresistible batter. Akihito practically begged Olivia to blast her magic and instantly freeze the device's refrigerant pack. With a bright, cheerful grin, Akihito tells everyone the last step is simple: just roll the ball. The minion kids burst with joy and start rolling that huge sphere around like it's pure playground gold. Olivia can't look away, totally mesmerized by how ridiculously adorable the minions are in that heartwarming moment. With the minions buzzing in anticipation, Akito grins and declares, "Ice cream's almost ready." With a dramatic flourish, he unveils a bowl packed with perfectly churned, creamy ice cream. The mignons dive in, and the second they taste that delicious magic, their faces light up like they've just hit the jackpot. They roar for Akihito, chanting for a statue in his honor, until Akihito's embarrassment hits so hard he can barely breathe. While everyone's partying, Olivia drags him aside and pours out her heartfelt thanks. He laughs it off, claiming he was just panicking to make sure their turn stayed safe. She stares at him like he's a legend, and she can't stop saying how ridiculously cool he is. Blushing hard from her sincere compliment, Akihito can only stammer, "Thank you," barely louder than a whisper. Olivia's mood flips on a dime as she grinds her teeth over how she failed to snag a single piece of meat. Bucci catches her talking and asks if she wants to eat meat, and she jumps at the chance with zero hesitation. He pitches a brand new stop for the hunt, the caves, where treasures and mouthwatering delights are waiting around every dark corner. Olivia's eyes light up, she repeats it like she can't believe it, caves. Bucci paints this jaw-dropping world, packed with rare creatures, glittering crystals, and mouthwatering ingredients. Olivia picks up on the shared vibe, and her eyes lock onto Akihito. Fueled by pure excitement, Akihito jabs forward and announces their next mission, an all-out cave expedition. They crash to the base of a jagged rocky cliff, and right there, shadowy cave darkness gapes like it's waiting for them. Akihito and Olivia steeled themselves for a brand new challenge as they stepped up to that chilling, foreboding opening. Olivia spots the place and instantly realizes this has to be the cave Bucci was talking about. She stands before the dark maw and jabs her finger at a strange totem, declaring it the entrance marker. Bucci squints at the totem's stomach and realizes the number etched there looks like a big, fat 0. He breaks it down. The number tells you the monster's level, and this 0 means the whole area is safe. Bucci's convinced no powerhouse monsters are haunting the cave entrance. Akihito reckons the meat they're hunting is buried deeper in there, right where the tougher monsters lurk. Olivia's warrior spirit flares up as she declares, full confidence, she's the one who's getting the meat. She hesitates, then finally admits it. She'll need a light just to make her way through the dark. Akihito slowly hands her a lantern, and she instantly panics, totally overwhelmed by how sweet and thoughtful it is. For one heartbeat, their hands brush as he hands the lantern to her, and the whole moment crackles. She yanks her hand back in sheer panic, then blurts out an apology for that weird reaction. With a shy smile, she nervously asked, "Would it be okay if I carried the light?" Akihito flashes her a warm, reassuring grin and tells her with absolute confidence that it's only natural. She beams at him, then grips the lantern like it's finally hers to trust, and confidence surges in her chest. Olivia thrusts the light up high and officially kicks off their expedition into the cave. Akihito stares at her, and that soft fawn-like smile blooms on his face as he silently thinks her name. He vows to stand by her because he knows she's doing everything she can, even with that phobia clawing at her. They step into the dark, nodding in agreement to move slow and stay razor careful. Deeper in, they stride into a massive cavern, and above them the ceiling twinkles with eerie glowing lights. Bucci points out yet another totem, this one stamped with a big one, and it screams that the danger ahead is about to level up. Akihito clocks that the way ahead looks clear for the moment, but Olivia can't stop staring, nerves buzzing through her. Without warning, a ghostly ethereal light streaks past Akihito, and he's left jolted and stunned. When the light hits, it isn't empty at all. It explodes into a gigantic swarm of huge, moth-like insects. Akihito clenches his face and realizes, horrified, that an absolutely terrifying swarm of bugs has him completely surrounded. He thrashes his arms, but the swarm crushes him. He can't scare a single one away. Olivia shouted his name, demanding to know if he was okay, while the swarm of insects turned everything into chaos. The bugs she's luring with that lantern start rushing in, one after another, crowding in on her light. Olivia yelps in alarm as she realizes the swarm is fading, snuffing out their only light. Vance roars her name and she snaps into action, whipping up a raging, swirling gust of wind that hits like thunder. The blast hits like a thunderclap, instant chaos erupts, and the whole swarm gets scattered as insects go flying in every direction. Her brutal strike ripped through the air, and when the dust settled, a heap of smashed insects lay sprawled on the ground. After it all settles, Akihito spots a sickly cluster of pale growths on the wall and realizes they're mushrooms. His expertise seals the verdict. Those cave mushrooms are real, edible, and insanely rare, like hitting the jackpot of flavor. Tama lights up, remembering Buchi saying they could trade those mushrooms for bacon. Akihito's mouth waters as he and the others dig in their minds, dreaming up a killer plate of sizzling bacon and mushrooms, right as they grab their prize. As they keep moving, Olivia spots one more thing hidden deep in a dark crevice. She shouts at Akihito, hinting that another delicious discovery is lurking just a bit farther. As they close in, Akihito leans forward and stares into the pitch black, trying to figure out what kind of wild plant could be hiding in there. Olivia clocks how weird this plant is, sprouting in total darkness, while Akihito sharpens his resolve and gets ready to go investigate. Without warning, the ground ahead of them blasts apart with a monstrous roar. Akihito screams Olivia's name, because a monster has just erupted out of the earth. His eyes snap wide in pure shock as he finally sees the creature's full, terrifying form. A giant armored centipede looms over him like a nightmare, and all he can do is barely whisper, "It's so massive." The creature lunges forward, and Akihito shoots his axe up on instinct, bracing for the impact like his life depends on it. The monster's razor-sharp, power-packed mandibles clicked menacingly right above his head, like it was counting down to the strike. Akihito shakily points out the creature. It's a centipede, and it instantly sends Olivia into total disgust. With a guttural roar that shakes the air, the centipede rockets forward, its jaws hanging wide open. The monster unleashes a brutal strike, and their precious lantern rockets through the air like a fiery comet. Olivia's eyes blow wide with pure horror as the only light they've got slips and tumbles out of sight. The lantern smashes into the far wall, explodes into glass, and slams everyone into total darkness. On pure instinct, Akihito lunges and shoves Olivia behind him, roaring, "Get down." He dug in his heels, axe raised and ready, staring down the monstrous threat all by himself. The creature's mandibles snap shut around his axe, crushing down with impossible strength as he strains to hold on. He clenches his teeth so tight his jaw aches, and the beast's crushing power slams him backward as his muscles scream in protest. He knows he has to dodge those poisonous legs, one single brush, and it could be the end. The monster snarls so close his face is inches away, then tries to crush him in one brutal strike. From the shadows creeping behind him, Olivia screams his name, terrified to the bone. With a last-ditch scream tearing out of his lungs, Akihito shoves forward with every ounce of strength he has. The fierce counterattack smashes through one of the creature's huge mandibles like it's nothing. He rides the momentum, sets his sights, and throws one last, decisive punch to finish it. Dark ichor blasts from the creature's wound as it jerks back, writhing in pain and sheer shock. Akihito rockets upward and slams his axe down with a thunderous overhead swing. The blade slammed in with a brutal thud, punching deep into the monster's skull. He looms over the beaten beast, breathing hard as the fight drains every ounce of strength from him. He whips his head back to Olivia, stunned like, "Wait, did I really just beat that thing?" Olivia blushes, stunned and relieved, and says it looks like he's got it. She hypes him for those insane feat, and he bursts into laughter, so relieved he somehow pulled it off. Standing over the lifeless body, he hears a sharp chime, his one-of-a-kind skill just triggered. The pop-up label slams in and declares the creature a Marvel giant centipede, and says it's only edible under the right conditions. The skill says that when it's boiled, it turns luxuriously tender, with the rich, delicious flavor of lobster. Akito's face snaps into a wild grimace of total shock and raw horror. Olivia clocked his weird expression and blurted, "What's wrong?" fearing he'd get hurt. He swings toward her, grits out a forced smile, and blurts that the centipede is apparently delicious. Olivia glares at him, eyes bulging with pure horror, and her mind can't catch up with what he just said. He stumbles backward at full speed, flailing his hands like crazy, shouting, "Relax, I'm only kidding." He mumbles to himself that you'd need serious balls of courage to even think about biting something that grotesque. With that disgusting centipede crawling right behind them, Akihito and Olivia burst into a laugh, then agree, laughing it off like it never happened. Suddenly, Akihito's hand slips right as he reaches toward the lantern. Olivia, in profile, watches the lantern tumble through the air with a loud clatter. In the sudden darkness, panic hits. They realize the last shred of light is gone. Olivia lets out a gut-wrenching scream as she crumples to the ground, sobbing and shouting into the darkness. Akihito blurts out her name, stunned to the bone by the sheer intensity of her reaction. She's on her knees, trembling so hard her whole body can't stop shaking from pure, gut-punch terror. He lunges toward her right away, reaching out to wrap her in comfort and calm her down. As he holds her tight, he finally understands how deep her phobia really goes, and he vows right there to never leave her side. Olivia shudders through the fear, forcing out a tight, choked apology for her own weakness. He grips her even harder, cuts her off with a fierce "don't apologize," because the thought of losing her and finding a new light terrifies him. Akihito knows he has to drag her out of that cave right now. Out in the dark, they're sitting ducks. His face tightens with unwavering resolve, and he vows to protect her no matter what. Staring into the cave's darkness, he spots a dim, mysterious light burning deeper inside. He asks if she can walk, but she can only shake her head. Fear locks her in place. With no other choice left, he grips her and prepares to lift her off the ground. He chokes out an apology for how familiar this feels, then carefully lifts her into his arms. He scoops her up and storms into a jaw-dropping grotto, where the walls blaze with magical, shimmering light. They both freeze in shock when they finally spot it, the source, packed with countless massive magic stones. He carefully lowers her to the ground, telling her they should rest for a bit under that soft, comforting glow. Olivia's overwhelmed and flustered, and all she can manage is a soft, embarrassed nod. While she blurts out yet another apology, he softly tells her to watch her step, right as she steadies herself. He clasps her hand in his, squeezing it tight to steady her, pure, unwavering support. He flashes her a warm smile and tells her, straight to the heart, that her safety is what matters most. Olivia stares at him and her face softens, like she's thanking him for something she can't quite say out loud. She grips his hand and lets out a shaky thank you, overwhelmed by how constantly kind he's been. Their cheerful back and forth cuts through the tension like a breath of fresh air. Akito snatched up a crystal and stared at it, stunned by the weird, gorgeous power glowing in magic stones. Olivia tells everyone the minions are swapping these things, and since they've got such a huge one, it has to be packed with value. He beams and offers her the stones, but she won't let it go. She insists it was him who uncovered them first. He tells her he doesn't want them for himself at all, and then orders her to grab them as a souvenir. Red-faced, she blurts out that her family is loaded, and she definitely doesn't need anything else. She teases him with a wink, and he shoots back. His real treasure isn't romance at all, it's the mushrooms he just found. Olivia bursts into a soft, real laugh, and you can practically feel her tension melt off her shoulders. Akihito breaks into a relieved grin, smiling through pure happiness as her spirit finally comes roaring back. He replays her earlier terror in his head, and suddenly knows it has to come from some deep, buried trauma. Seeing cheerful Olivia cowering in fear hits him hard. He finally realizes her brutal phobia isn't random, there's a painful reason behind it. Olivia tilts her chin up at him, eyes locked and serious as she calls out his name. She can't help but think back to how he's always put her first, like his every move was driven by her best interests. She decides she can trust him. Maybe it's finally safe to spill her story to him. She calls his name one more time, right to his face, to pull his full attention before she even starts. She leaned in and demanded he listen, her voice steeled with the kind of resolve that wouldn't quit. Akihito locks eyes on her, face set with seriousness as he braces himself to listen. They huddle together in a glowing cavern while she braces herself to spill every truth. Gleaming crystals in the cavern glitter like a calm spotlight, even as her brutal, hard-earned story hangs in the air. The two of them sink into the vast grotto, where the roar of everything else fades, and a quiet, intimate moment locks in between them. Akihito keeps thinking back to how badly he wanted answers about her past, but now that time is here, and fear creeps in. Olivia knows he'll have to dig into why she's terrified of the dark, to the point of crippling fear. He nods and tells her, go on no matter how brutal that story is, and he stays to listen anyway. When he spots her resolve, he leans in and tells her, I swear, I don't just want to know, I want to understand you for real. Moved by his tender kindness, Olivia flashed him a grateful smile. Her story kicks off by dragging them straight back to what happened a whole year ago. In a sudden flashback, she's shown standing tall as a respected holy knight, leading her platoon with command and grit. The ornate emblem of her noble house proudly blazes across her cape. Her devoted subordinates can't wait to whisk her away and share a meal together. Two jealous nobles crash the moment, loudly insisting, lying through their teeth, that she already has plans with them. Her loyal soldiers shoot angry glares at the two nobles, guarding their commander like their lives depend on it. The nobles hiss their bitter gossip about her, seething over her lofty birth and high status. One of them leans in and whispers the rumor he heard about the Half-Pieman family. He insists her family went under in business, and now they're drowning in debt. The camera snaps to her father, the Marquis, looking worn out, stress written all over his face. The moment the Marquis steps in, the gossiping nobles shut up cold, crushed by his overwhelming presence. He stands there by himself, reading the letter as pain and worry twist across his face. The crushing weight of his family's troubles is carved deep into his face. He closes in on Olivia, clutching a stiff, formal letter from the Marquisate. As Olivia reads that letter, shock slams into her face, and disbelief instantly follows. Her father clocks her reaction and shoots, "What's wrong?" He drops the devastating bombshell, their trade ships have sunk again. He admits that to claw back everything they lost, he pulled a giant loan. Then he drops the answer like a bombshell, a marriage proposal from the Prince of Nissel. Olivia stays calm and tells the prince, "If I marry you, you'll wipe out every last debt." Her father's eyes spill with relief, and she softly tells him, "Don't worry, it's okay now." She shuts her eyes and swallows her fear, ready to live up to her duty as a daughter of House Half-Pieman. A soldier barges in, slams the moment to a halt, and blurts out an urgent message, out of breath, like time is already running out. He's yelling that zombies are spilling out of the cemetery, and he nods like he just got the worst news on Earth. The undead count just broke past 300, and the horde keeps swelling, growing, right in front of everyone's eyes. Olivia's mind drags her back to the orphanage in Nottingham, to the days when she laughed and played with the kids there. Her expression turns stone-cold determined as she barks orders to her platoon to gear up for battle. She charges on horseback with 72 soldiers at her back, storming headfirst into an army of the dead. The moment the undead horde crashes in, pure chaos and brutal fighting ignites. She finally realizes how massive the danger really is. More than 300 zombies are right there, stretching out ahead of her. A soldier urges them to hold tight and wait for reinforcements, but she cuts him off, no time left. She swears she'll slam the brakes on this horde right here, and rip anyone trapped inside out before it's too late. She hands Glenn, her second in command, the reins, and sends him charging to lead the defensive line. Riding her white steed, she lifts her spear high, then locks in, ready to unleash her ultimate holy technique. A roaring surge of divine power bursts from her and obliterates every zombie in its path. Her soldiers roar her name in disbelief, stunned by the brutal power in her as they tear through the wreckage hunting for survivors. Now that the way is wide open, she and her soldiers charge straight into the church. They slam through the main doors, shouting for someone, but the only thing that answers them is a chilling, dead quiet. She sweeps the dark, silent church with her eyes, praying the survivors are hiding somewhere in the shadows. Glenn, her trusted second in command, stares on, his face twisted with worry. She tells him to stay calm, dig deep, and stay strong no matter what they run into. She gives him a confident, fearless smile and reminds him she's a holy knight. A soldier stumbles on a side door that's locked tight from the inside, like someone trapped in there wants the world to stop. Olivia shouts out, calls her platoon by name, and offers help to anyone in range. When nobody answers, she clenches her jaw and smashes the door down, because she's out of options. She drove a brutal kick into the wooden door, and it exploded into splinters as they flew everywhere. Her soldiers burst into the dark room, lanterns blazing high above their heads. Inside, they finally spot what they came for, those huddled children, packed together in fear. In a memory, Olivia's armored body drops to one knee, breathless with relief that the young girl is finally safe. The girl calls her big sis Olivia and asks, with bright hope, if she remembers when they used to play together. Her expression snaps into a wild, monstrous grin, and she keeps shouting, "Big sis." The zombified child snarls, and a raw, guttural growl rips out of her throat. Olivia lunges in front of the charging zombie like a shield, screaming out a warning as it closes in. Her eyes bulge with pure terror as the nightmare scene crashes down around her. That memory flips the switch. 1 second she's a sweet, smiling kid, the next, she's twisted into something undead. Olivia stretches out her hand in pure despair, begging as the memory of that innocent girl slips away. A soldier steadies his weapon, ready to smash the zombie child to pieces, like it's nothing but an object. Olivia screams at him to stop, she won't let him hurt that child. Her subordinate snaps his head around, totally baffled by Commander Olivia's sudden order. He lets out a desperate warning, then 2 zombie nuns slam into him from behind. The soldier is bitten and buffeted by panic, screaming as he cries out, while Olivia stares on in total shock. Blood sprays across her face as she shrieks at the nightmare, begging it to stop. The world snaps into darkness, and the air erupts with screams, chaos, and pure terror. She blurts out that she got separated from her platoon, watched the chance to save the children slip away, and it drove her to quit on the spot. Her father grabs her attention and orders her to bury the past and accept the Prince of Nissel's proposal. The handsome prince strides in, locks eyes with Olivia, and tells her he's been waiting for her this whole time. He vows that his kingdom's riches will keep her family safe, and he gives her this happiness like it's a promise carved in stone. Olivia just freezes, staring into nothing, and you can tell she's tearing apart this happiness like it doesn't even make sense. Accepting feels like a priceless honor to her, something she has to do, no questions asked. She leans in and tells Akihito how that trauma shattered her, drowning her in pure terror every time the lights go out. With her story finished, she admits it, her own immaturity lit the fuse for that tragedy. Akihito smiles and thanks her, but then he presses her hard about that engagement with the prince. With a hurt look on her face, she grimaces and admits, yeah, painfully, that this is her reality. He stares at her like his life depends on it, demanding to know if this is truly what she wants. He's flat out furious that she'd force herself into a human sacrifice for her family, because he knows it's dead wrong. He blasts the prince as a villain, but she shoots that claim down fast, defending him as the kindest man around. She sobs and demands to know why Akihito is being so cruel to her. Her razor-sharp retort snaps through the air and he flinches, finally realizing he crossed the line. He drops his pride and apologizes for spiraling over her family's debt-driven decision. She exhales, lays out how noble marriages really run, and tells him not to panic. Her eyes flare wide as she starts to speak, then he bursts out, furious and heartfelt, saying he can't stand seeing her miserable, and he's determined to make her suffering stop. His words hit her like lightning, and she whips her head away, cheeks burning with raw emotion. Fists clenched tight, she shoots him a thank you, then refuses, saying she can't betray her parents. Akihito's face softens as the truth hits. He can't push her any further. He swears he'll never mention it again, and he can't help but feel relieved she trusted him with the secret. Olivia snaps back with a sharp smile, insisting she's totally fine and that her strength is still there. She jabs her own arms like it's a joke, then boldly swears she'll throw down if things get out of hand, leaving Akihito utterly bewildered. He burst out laughing, warm, relieved, and instantly got why she tried to lighten the mood. She steps in too, and her bright laughter bursts through the glowing cavern like sunshine. Akihito's grin drops out of nowhere as an unspoken thought crashes into his mind. He just wants to grab the courage to ask her to stay on the island with him. Olivia clocks his silence and shoots, something wrong. He snaps it off right away and pushes them to go grab even more of those valuable magic stones. Her eyes blaze with excitement. If money's the issue, they'll handle it. She beams and nods with pure excitement, then they jump in and grab everything they can carry. Bucci the Catman pops in, grinning like he just hit the jackpot, because they finally got a bag for their haul. Olivia's energy snaps back to life. Now she's itching to hunt for souvenirs and even score some meat. As they walk out, Akihito can't help but stare, impressed by Olivia's insane streak. A brutal scrape claws through the darkness from deep at the cave mouth. A chilling shadow crawls through the tunnel, and this time it isn't just stalking, they're being hunted by a fresh, deadly threat. A hulking, monster-dark silhouette swallows the entire passage, like it's taking the whole space for itself. They burst into the light, and Olivia shouts that she's finally found them. She beams as she hoists a giant sack stuffed with fat, spotless cave mushrooms. Akihito breaks into a grin, finally exhaling, because the cave monster never shows up. Olivia grips the mushrooms and goes, "Wow, their smell is so insanely fragrant it hits like a punch." He cracks jokes with her, but she spirals into panic, convinced he's talking about her own smell. He bursts into laughter, daring them to ditch the mushrooms outside and hunt down a spot where they can cook. From the shadows, a hidden watcher clocks the fact that they've got magic stones too. A sudden, piercing blast from deep inside the cave snaps both of them to attention, then they both jump out of their skins. A bone-rattling thud crashes through the air, and you just know something massive has arrived. A monstrous saberboard rockets forward, its eyes burning with pure, wicked malice. Both of them gasp in shock the moment the massive beast suddenly shows up. The boar dug in its hooves, muscles flexing as it snapped into a ready-to-burst charge. Olivia slams Akihito aside and snaps that she's taking the monster on herself. Her eyes flare like a match striking, then she kicks on her body enhancement skill and pure power surges through her. She yanks her sword free in a flash, bracing herself as the enemy charges head-on. The boar's eyes pinch shut with focus as it charges straight at her, smashing forward at jaw-dropping speed like thunder. Steel screams against Tusk as she throws up her guard and slams the attack back. Her blade explodes into shattered fragments, completely crushed by the creature's overwhelming power. Akihito freezes in shock, watching Olivia get completely crushed and overpowered right in front of him. The impact hits her like a hammer, and she stumbles back across the ground, fighting to stay upright. She fights for balance, getting shoved back again and again by the boar's merciless charge. He screams her name as the creature shoves her back with pure, crushing force. She stares in disbelief at how fast that boar darts and how brutally solid its tusks are. Akihito stares in pure horror, fully realizing this situation is hopelessly dire. Then it hits him, Olivia's power just doesn't work on this monster. A desperate spark hits him. He can fire up his movement magic and slip out before it's too late. He grips his focus tight, determined to yank them straight back to their camp with a teleport, right now. Magic starts to bloom in the air, then it sputters, fizzles, and vanishes like it never happened. They just stare, stunned and rattled, as the spell fizzles out right in front of them. Panic spikes in his chest, his magic is gone. Olivia shrieks at him to sprint because the board barrels forward again, and it feels certain it'll win. Akihito shoves her aside, yanks his axe up, and roars that he has to do something, right now. He fights tooth and nail against the boar's crushing strength, groaning through his struggle as it proves way too strong for him. He shoves with all he's got and fails, then screams at Olivia to save herself. She screams in heartbreak, refusing to let him go. Both of them are stuck in that split second where terror hits like a wall. Akihito pleads with her to run, he knows his grip won't last, yet she tears through the air, screaming his name. A brand new voice suddenly barks an order, shut your eyes and keep your mouths closed. Hearing that voice and realizing they must obey, they shut their eyes tight in stunned confusion. A blinding flash rips the sky open, and a monstrous explosion blasts out a roaring cloud of smoke. In the foggy haze, Bushi bursts into view, barking at them to move, right now. The two minions seize their dazed friends and yank them to safety. Bushi barks that they should scramble up a jagged, towering ledge, anything to buy them a few precious moments. He snaps a proud salute, admits his gut screamed something's wrong, and rushes over to make sure they're okay. Akihito shoots them a grateful nod, then rubs his burning eyes, stinging from the blast. Buchi finally spills his secret weapon, a minion special pepper bomb, right as the boar sneezes. Perched high on a jagged cavern ledge, Buchi snaps, we need an escape plan now. Akihito tries to use his teleportation magic, and it just won't work. Panic snaps into his chest. Buchi drops his head and apologizes, then admits those magic stones mess with his abilities. A deafening crash rips through the air as the ground bucks and violently shakes beneath them. Rage-fueled, the boar charges and smashes straight into the rock wall, desperate to knock their perch down. Buchi lays out the boar's tactic, and Akihito suddenly realizes just how close they are to disaster. The party gets thrown into chaos as those brutal, repeated hits keep slamming down again and again. Akihito declares they've got a hunt for the weak point, and Boogie fires back with a plan, a trap. A sudden spark of inspiration ignites in Akihito as his mind races through the one-of-a-kind skills only he has. He zeroes in and uses his pro of preparation to crack the beast's patterns, hunting out the one weakness it can't hide. Got it, he blurts, pinpointing the monster's vital spot. Olivia's eyes brighten as hope surges back into her expression. She flashes a confident grin at Akihito and declares that if they just need an opening, he can hand it over to her. Akihito watches, wide-eyed, as the fearless holy knight straps in for battle like the fight is about to ignite. With pure guts, Olivia launches off the ledge and sprints straight into the charging boar. She barrels straight into the monster's ferocious charge, unleashing a power that hits just as hard. The blast hits with a violent crack, throwing sparks everywhere and blasting rocks through the air. The saber boar reels back in shock, getting blasted away by her jaw-dropping strength. Their collision detonates a bone-rattling shockwave that booms through the cavern. A colossal blast of pure force detonates at the peak of their face-to-face showdown. Buchi erupts with cheers as Akihito carefully lowers Olivia by rope, talking her through the sparking magic stones. The minions shout at Olivia, fearlessly playing bait and luring the boar right in. Buchi hands the whole plan to Olivia's grit, and she takes it without hesitation. The massive boar jerks its head, fighting through the sting of that devastating blow. It blasts out a furious snort, steam gushing from its nostrils as it readies itself to charge again. Buchi screams a warning as the furious beast crashes straight for their trap. Toma's breaking down in tears as Olivia yanks the tripwire she was taught, and boom, her Vance skill detonates. The boar barrels forward, its hooves yanking the rope tight with a thunderous snap. Toma bursts into cheers as the trap snaps shut, stunning the beast for a brief, shocking moment. The minions burst into cheers at Akihito, shouting that the rest is all on him now. As the monster finally falters, Akihito surges forward and drives his skinning knife in with everything he's got. He slams down his ultimate support skill, Pro of Preparation, shouting it like a battle cry. He barrels straight at the recovering beast, eyes locked in with zero doubt. The saber-boar Day's eyes snapped up, utterly baffled as the whole world flipped on a dime. Akihito makes a wild gamble and slips straight under the massive creature's crushing bulk. His skill exposes that the boar is edible, but first you've got to hack away that brutal tusk. Thrilled at the thought of meat, Olivia and the minions can't wait, so they swarm in and offer their help. The saber-boar is down on the ground, spinning with dizziness and completely thrown off. Back at the campsite, Akihito stokes a roaring fire, the flames crackling like they've got something to prove. The whole party dives into sizzling boar skewers and roars about how insanely delicious every bite is. Olivia says this meal is heavenly, and Akito instantly throws his full heart behind the same truth. Buchi grins from ear to ear, savoring that sweet, simple bliss of a great meal with his friends. Akihito sits there soaking it in, amazed at how good it feels to share a meal with everyone, and he's grateful with all his heart for their friendship. He thanks every single one of them for their help, and the minions fire back with his gratitude, loud and clear. Olivia turns to Akihito, her face going gentle as she murmurs his name with careful, thoughtful warmth. Buchi brags that he only did what was right, but Toma fires back that he's just showing off. Buchi leans in and tells everyone, Akihito isn't just a warrior, he's the kind of fighter who always has his friends' backs. Akihito, moved by the word companions, flashes them a warm, grateful smile. He chuckles and tells them to shut down the cringe talk, then just dig in and eat more meat. Then it hits him, the magic stones. He sees it all at once, with so many shattered from the fight. Olivia lifts a handful of pristine crystals, grinning like, yep, this is way more than enough. She pours out her heartfelt gratitude to him, making sure he knows their bond and those irreplaceable companions can never be replaced. Akihito grins and cheers. Let's head back to the cave and grab more later. Buchi jumps in to help, grinning and teasing that Akihito would be totally helpless without him. Tama refuses to sit this one out, insisting on tagging along so Buchi doesn't steal all the fun by himself. Akihito erupts in laughter, thrilled that Tom's right there to rein Buchi in. Olivia clamps a hand over her mouth, trembling with a giggle as the minions' playful bickering goes back and forth. Akihito goes to check on Olivia, and she brightens up, smiling that she's just grabbing some water. As they finally drop their guard, a sudden rustle from the bushes snaps them into full alert. Behind the tree, a brand new figure emerged, stared them down, and declared, "Got you, I've found you." A wolf-like samurai bursts into view and locks onto Olivia. She's his target, no question. He clocks her signature swirling twintail hairstyle the second he sees her. Hand on his sword, he snaps that she's the enemy of his master. The camp celebration keeps rolling on, calm, bright, and peaceful for everyone still there. Olivia tips a pitcher and pours a cool, refreshing drink straight into a bowl. She calmly slurps from the bowl, eyes shut tight, looking like pure bliss. She exhales a gentle, satisfied sigh, like everything just clicked into place. She shouts at Akihito while he sizzles skewers over the crackling campfire. Tama lit up with pure joy and practically begged for seconds. Akihito teases Tama, telling him not to stuff himself, only for the little minion to insist, "I'm totally fine." Tama sits there thinking, the meat tastes even better when we all team up and work as one. Akihito nods and says he'll grab Butchai one more skewer too. The samurai crouches in the shadows, glaring as he's sure the demon is tricking his minions. Akito slides Olivia another skewer, but she smiles politely and turns it down. A samurai tore out of the trees, teeth bared, swearing he'd hunt down the demon he'd just seen. Akihito and the minions go totally wide-eyed as a sudden intruder crashes in out of nowhere. The samurai rockets into the air, daring them to strike right now for an instant showdown. Akihito blares Olivia's name, panic exploding as the warrior drops down toward them. He lunges in front of Olivia and throws a frying pan up, just in time to slam the samurai's katana away. Steel crashes into iron rings with a thunderous clang that lights up the whole scene. Olivia grabs Akihito's hands and thanks him for shielding her, then quickly asks, "Are you okay?" She whips around to the samurai, steamrolling with pure fury. How dare he lay a hand on Akihito? With a fierce scream, she unleashes her Vance skill and blasts the samurai flying back. The wolf warrior gets blasted through the air, then lands on his feet like he planned it all along. He locks eyes with Olivia, utterly stunned by the sheer power she's throwing around. His rage evaporates in a blink and suddenly, boom, infatuation hits, his eyes sparkle into hearts. The minions rush in to stop him, but he refuses to back down, swearing she's a fearsome demon wearing someone else's face. They lay it all out for him, but the samurai snaps back. He refuses to believe humans can't be demons. Akihito's praying that because the samurai knows Tama, they'll be able to talk Tama down and get him to listen. The samurai sneers at Akihito's frying pan, brushing off every word he says like it's nothing. He growls with fury, saying the demons that hunt people are his master's enemies. As Akihito lunges at him, he shoves a dripping meat skewer into his mouth, right on the spot to silence him. The samurai's mouth falls shut. He's absolutely stunned by the wild, incredible taste and feel. Olivia steps in with a calm smile and urges them to sit down, eat, and sort everything out peacefully. The samurai gets absolutely wrecked by the irresistible richness of the meat juices. He can't help but shower her with praise, gushing over the wisdom of that strong, beautiful woman. He bows so deeply it's almost reverent, then apologizes and introduces himself, Juan Yudo no Haru Kimi. Akihito tells them Kimi had already heard whispery rumors about a flesh-eating demon roaming the forest. Butcha and Thomas let out heavy sighs, grumbling about Kimi's short fuse and the chaos she keeps dragging in. Kimi grumbles that he wasn't starting trouble at all, he was just trying to live in peace with the minions. Kimi breaks down and admits the crushing mistake. He realizes he nearly ended an innocent man's life. He dramatically offers to commit seppuku, just to cool Olivia's rage and finally get her anger off his back. As a peace offering, Akihito silently slides a skewer of fresh, hot grilled meat into view. Olivia beams leaned in and asked Kimi, right there, if the food he was chewing was actually delicious. Kimi erupts with joy and declares that Olivia's skewers are the absolute best. With a dazzling grin, Olivia hands every bit of credit for the cooking to Akihito. They swap sincere compliments, and you can tell just how much the other has carried them. Like, word for word, both are fully grateful. Kimi stays quiet, secretly praying he can learn to cook too, just so he can impress Olivia. Olivia's praise of Kimi's blade skills only fires him up even more. Jealousy detonates in him as he berates Akihito for not being able to fight with a blade. Rage burning with rivalry, Kimi corners the cautious Akihito and dares him to a rematched duel. Akihito shuts down the pointless brawl, then snaps at Kimi, calling her wildly overaggressive attitude out. Tama panics and hustles to calm the two men as Olivia starts to look sick. That tiny cat spots her distress first and immediately meows, "What's wrong?" Olivia gasps out that she's fine, right before her strength crumbles and she starts to collapse. Akihito snaps into action and catches her the moment she collapses, while Kimi gasps in panic. He cradles her limp body and bellows her name at the minions, who stare in stunned silence. Inside the tent, Tama stood over unconscious Olivia, silent and unshakable, refusing to look away. Fresh water gets poured into a pot in a hurry because they're trying to cool her fever fast. Akihito tiptoes back toward the tent, cradling that pot of cool water like it's something that could save the moment. He storms back to find Tama waiting, her eyes grim as she blurts that Olivia is running a deadly high fever. Kimi panics and demands answers, but Tama clamps down on the chaos and orders him to stay calm and silent. A tight close-up locks onto Olivia's face, sweat beads spill across her skin as her fever rages. Akihito keeps watch on her and his face is pure, trembling worry. Tama suspects her illness is nothing but pure exhaustion and insists they've got to cool her down fast. Akihito hands over the water and Tama lays a cool, wet cloth straight onto her forehead. He finally gets it, his own immunity skill won't help him at all in this brand new world when she needs him most. A flash of inspiration hits him, and he softly rests his hand on her head. He fires off a desperate basic recovery spell, praying it's finally strong enough to save him. As the magic surges, one lone tear slips down her fevered cheek like it's breaking under the heat. Her eyelids flutter open, and with a shaky, faint voice, she whispers his name as he bends over her. He blurts out an apology for not spotting it sooner, and she reassures him with a warm smile that she's feeling way better. She reassures him, "Don't worry," right as her eyes slowly shut. Her sentence snaps in half as a violent coughing fit rips through the room, and everyone jolts in alarm. With dread twisting his stomach, he realizes his magic is nowhere near strong enough to save her. Kimi asks for medicine, but Tama's sure their own remedies won't do a thing. Thomas suddenly remembers a crazy legend. There's a panacea ingredient buried at the very bottom of a lake. Akihito grabs onto this fresh sliver of hope, and demands to know exactly where the lake is. Buchi tells them this place is deep and deadly, those minions won't even go near it. Unfazed, Akihito clenches his fists and vows to hunt down that vital ingredient himself. Kimi keeps her eyes on Akihito, his face set in stone, cold, stern, and impossible to read. The samurai bristled and demanded, loud and clear, that he was the one who had to step into the danger. Akihito shoots back that he's totally fine, sure his one-of-a-kind skills will have his back and keep him safe. He says the only thing driving him is pure, unstoppable desperation to save Olivia. Guilt burns in him and he refuses to live with any more regrets about her safety. He declares loud and clear that he's going no matter how dangerous it gets. The minions can't even hide it, they're shaken by how stubbornly he refuses to stop until their friend is saved. Kimi finally gives in, but his face still screams a messy, conflicted battle underneath the stern look. At that ominous lake, Kimi flips their desperate rescue mission into a nail-biting showdown. Two rivals face off at the water's edge, and the air crackles with pure, violent tension. Akihito questions why they even need this contest, but Kimi cuts in and dares him to prove his confidence. Akihito speaks up with calm confidence, his only real drive is to save Olivia. Kimi snaps and says he's just as serious, treating Olivia like the kind-hearted benefactor who's got his back. He calls Akihito a weakling and says he can't be trusted because he won't protect her. With one last gut check, Kimi launches herself into the water and kicks off the race. He lets out a confident roar, swears he'll win with zero trouble, and then blasts off into the water, swimming hard away from the shore. Akihito squares his shoulders and steels his mind, because this isn't a game. He plunges his first step into the cold, pitch-dark waters of that mysterious lake. With a fierce shout to save Olivia, he dives headfirst straight into the depths. Kimi dives even deeper, hunting for that one medicinal plant with a color no one else has ever seen. Akihito thrusts forward through the water, his face locked in ironclad determination. Out of nowhere, an unseen force lunges up from the darkness below and grabs Kimi tight. A massive hand clamps down on his leg, yanking him to a screeching halt in the murky water. He violently yanked himself under and vanished completely beneath the surface. Kimi and his mystery attacker hit the ground, coughing and wheezing as their breath comes in ragged, sputtering bursts. Akihito blurts, "So you can't swim," and Kimi tells him the truth, someone yanked him up from beneath the surface. Akihito blurted out what hit him so hard, and Kimi just grinned, saying it felt like a brutal, unstoppable current. A weird flash of light skitters across the water, and Akihito's eyes snap to it. Kimi's face hardens the moment he feels danger creeping in from the shadows, something big, unseen, and coming fast. Kimi snaps at Akihito, warning him that a dangerous presence is lurking right under the surface. The deep lake creature churns along the bottom, and water bubbles like it's screaming with every move. Akihito leans in, eyes locked on the dark below, then confirms it with a cold, undeniable certainty. Something's really down there. They lock eyes, both of them holding their breath, trying to figure out what monster's hiding down below. Kimi tells Akihito to quit, then vows she'll dive in again by herself. While Akihito protests, a watery tendril lashes out and clamps around his ankle. A liquid tendril cinched down on his leg, squeezing tighter and tighter like it was trying to crush him from the inside. Akihito plunges under the water with a loud splash, and Kimiya is left stunned. Kimi shouts his rival's name, and real panic spikes across his face. Down in the water, Akihito snaps awake with a jolt. Something has grabbed him, and he feels it instantly. An unseen force rips him away, dragging him through the water with zero control. Two gigantic, monstrous fish suddenly surface, and their violent splash churns up a terrifying whirlpool. He freezes in terror, only to realize he's not up against one monster, it's two. A monstrous whirlpool rips across the water, grinding everything down and yanking it straight into its deadly center. One monster rears up, cracks open that massive jaw, and tries to yank him straight inside. The creature's jaws clamped shut like a brutal steel trap, snapping past him by inches. He just barely dodges it, and you can see strained relief smash across his face. His eyes snap to an eerie glow drifting through the dark water. He spots it there, glowing gently on the lake bed. The medicinal plant lies perfectly still. He finally clicks, this has to be the exact ingredient they traveled here for. A savage tendril snaps into him, yanking him off his target and slamming him back with brutal force. Pinned down by the monster's whiskers, he realizes he's got one shot, cut himself loose before it's too late. His air is vanishing fast, and a deep panic slams into him. That water resistance drags his moves down, turning every step into slow, painful torture. His strength crumbles, and he can feel himself sliding straight into what fate has already decided. With a snap of steel, Kimmy's sword slices off the whisker, right as it bites, and he lives. Kimmy rockets through the water, racing to save his rival before they drown. The samurai yanks him hard, shooting him upward fast toward the surface. Their hands smack the rocky shore as they finally break free from the water. Worn out and hammered to the edge, they crumple to the ground together, choking on air as they gasp for breath. Akihito tries to thank him, but Kimmy snaps it off with a rough dismissal, swallowing the worry behind his tough words. Kimmy coughs violently and spits out lake water, while Akito watches in worried silence. The wolf samurai whips his head away, cheeks burning, and declares, loud and final, that his debt is now fully repaid. Akihito locks eyes with his rival, stunned by that honorable move and the way they call his name. Choked up with emotion, Akihito blurts out endless thanks and Kimmy snaps back, shoving him away with one rough motion. Kimmy snaps that he's not getting caught by the same trap twice, and he's ready to move forward solo. Akihito freezes in shock, staring at Kimmy's wild plan as he marches straight into two monsters, alone. Kimmy swears she'll win for Olivia, but Akihito slams down the truth, no success without a real strategy. Akihito realizes the water is a brutal handicap, then he grabs a moment to think before he commits. As Kimmy screams that there's no time, Akito panics and desperately drags up a skill he might still be able to use. He discovers the underwater walking skill and flat out declares it's their only shot left. With steel in his spine, he locks in that skill, then pitches it straight, let's fight together. The samurai wolf is totally thrown off when Akihito suddenly pitches the idea of teamwork. Akihito finally lands the skill he's been chasing, and now he chooses to hand that power straight to his rival. He tells them they can finally breathe underwater for 4 whole minutes, yet Kimmy just can't bring herself to believe it. Akihito throws himself into the plea, begging them to fuse their strength, all for Olivia. Kimmy weighs the desperate plea, and his proud composure cracks just enough for a bead of sweat to betray him. Swearing he'll never choke on the water again, Kimmy clamps his sword between his teeth and dives head first. Side by side, the rivals dive back into the pitch-black, monster-choked waters. When Akihito goes under, he gasps, then realizes he can breathe with zero trouble. He can't believe how effortlessly Kimmy moves, and he immediately calls out to his brand-new partner. 2 monstrous fish tower out of the dark, and Akihito snaps that they're right here. A grotesque anglerfish monster lets out a silent roar, then rockets straight at them. Kimmy charges in without fear, blocks the beast's path, and loudly declares, "I'll be your opponent." The second monster, an enormous catfish, swings its long whiskers and slams them into Akihito. Akihito gasps in pure terror as the monster unleashes a brutal blast, and Kimmy gets sent flying through the air. The giant catfish monster locks onto Akihito, then barrels straight toward him with everything it's got. He slashes the whiskers with his knife, and before the blade even cools, they sprout back almost instantly. He spots a glowing medicinal plant on the lake bed, right there, yet it might as well be miles away. Kimmy shoves Akihito toward the plant and tells him to grab it fast, while she throws up a much-needed distraction to keep the danger off his back. Akihito can feel the countdown crushing down on him. There are only a few minutes left. Frustration claws at him as the monsters keep regenerating their whiskers again and again. As the memory hits him, a brilliant idea explodes in his mind, powered by his one-of-a-kind preparation skill. Just like that, the monster's whisker snaps around Kimmy, so Akihito yells her name, panicked and loud. Kimmy fights to break free, his wrist trapped in Akihito's grip, while Akihito vows he's coming right now. Akihito suddenly lights up. Wait, he realizes. He doesn't slash the whiskers, he entangles them. He tells Kimmy to hang on for just a bit more as he barrels toward the beast. With a fierce, locked-in stare, Akihito clamps down on the monster's thick, slimy whisker. Kimmy gets yanked, completely helpless, straight toward the creature's gaping, packed-with-teeth mouth. The monster churns up a ferocious vortex, yanking at the struggling samurai like it's trying to rip him right out of the world. Kimmy gets dragged into the furious whirlpool, and Panic screams that he has to break free, now. Akihito barrels through the crashing current, laser-focused on getting to Kimmy before it's too late. The creature yanks its mouth wide open, thirsting to land that final fatal bite. With razor-sharp preparation, Akihito snatches the monster's whiskers and knots them into a flawless bow. The monster's grip snaps open, and Kimmy is suddenly ripped free from its clutches. With the whisker snapped off, Kimmy gets flung into the black water and tumbles helplessly, spinning out of control. Akihito grits his teeth and with every ounce of strength, fights his way back to the surface after finishing his job. They collapse on the sand, sprawled and shaking, gulping air like they just clawed their way back from the brink. Sprawled on the jagged rocks, they gasp in disbelief. Somehow, they actually made it out alive. He grips the cure like it's life itself, sprinting to get it to Olivia before it's too late. Back at camp, the tent sits silent, swallowed by the dark, looming trees. Inside, the rare medicinal herbs get pulverized into a silky fine paste. As Olivia lies there, a soft moan slips out, then her consciousness crawls back to life. The beast lets out a cheer, shoulders dropping as pure relief hits. She's awake, and the medicine finally worked. Kimmy shoots Olivia a worried glance and blurts, "Are you okay?" His voice trembling with real, deep concern. Even though she's still barely standing, Olivia lifts her gaze and shoots them a heartfelt thanks for saving her. Her eyes swept the room, then snapped to Akihito as she shouted his name. Akihito barrels to her side, and the moment he sees her, relief floods his face like it's been waiting to burst out. He's grinning from ear to ear, bursting with relief that the medicine worked, and she's just as overjoyed. She shoots him a warm, reassuring smile and tells him she's finally feeling fine. He orders her to stop moving, and she grins and happily follows his command. Kimmy stares at their sweet moment, her face set in deep, serious thought. He catches her smile of sheer relief and realizes just how much she trusts Akihito. Akihito practically applauds Kimmy, shouting that he was so damn cool for charging that monster head-on with his sword. Olivia blurts out that she couldn't have pulled it off by herself, then pours out a sincere thank you with all her heart. Kimmy, all flustered, shoves the credit back at him and blurts that Akihito defeated the monster. Akihito just smirks, and in that quiet moment, the rivals share a wordless understanding that snaps into place. Kimmy mutters under his breath, still rattled by all the praise and the warm camaraderie that's thrown him off. Kimmy swears he'll never forget that face, while Akihito laughs and flashes an apology. Butcha and Tama tease Kimmy for being totally unreliable, and Akihito's jaw drops in pure shock. Kimmy finally grumbles that Akihito helped out, she just refuses to admit it out loud. Akihito freezes in surprise as the samurai reluctantly hands out praise, then a tiny blush creeps across his cheeks. The others laughed and piled on them, chanting at the two rivals to stop sniping and finally make peace. The story jumps to their peaceful campsite, just a simple tent tucked deep in the woods like a secret safe haven. Akihito stares at the fruit bowl, hoping Olivia can take a bite. The minions thank him for sharing, then grin and say those vitamins are exactly what she needs. Akihito knows she has to heal, but just eating won't save her future. He replays that storm in his head and realizes their tent life is way too shaky to trust. He vows to do everything in his power so she can escape the island safe and sound. The minions clock his sudden serious face and pounce, demanding to know what's going on in his head. He twists away from them for a beat, and you can tell his new plan is locked in. He spins around mid-step, clutching his bowl, and announces his big plan to upgrade the tent. In another scene, a confident cat girl with glasses flashes a thumbs up like she owns the place. Two young boys light up and can't stop gushing over their badass big bro, Hirotaka. Hirotaka smirks and dares them to follow. He's about to show what real adventure feels like at the top. Akihito believes that if he can upgrade their living space, everything will finally get better. He stares at Olivia sleeping, certain that she deserves a real, better home and nothing less. He stands there with unwavering grit, ready to raise a home that'll shield them from every threat out there. His friends freeze in disbelief, sweat pouring off them as he blurts out that sudden, razor-sharp declaration. He jabs at a mountain of logs and promises he'll use every one Olivia hauled in. The minions stared in awe, blurting out, "Wait, can you really build a house that can't be destroyed?" He stares at the towering stack of wood, and the weight of that massive job settles on him as he goes quiet. He can't shake the worry that he's not skilled enough, while the minions keep doubting his huge, bold plan. Realizing he can't do this alone, he snaps open his status screen and starts hunting for professional help. The camera glides across the island's wild, thick jungle canopy, so lush and packed with life it feels like the forest is breathing. A cute little female minion pops up with a sweet smile and offers her help to the savior. Akihito gets instantly smitten by her cuteness, while Kimmy just watches, cold, unimpressed, and completely unmoved. Tama barges in, snaps back, and declares that the real Marin is right here. Marin's smile drops and a chilling, menacing aura starts pouring out of her. She erupts into a no-nonsense foreman, barking orders and driving everyone to build the finest house ever. Tama spills the truth about her sudden personality shift, and Akihito just stands there, utterly stunned and completely lost for words. Akihito grins and jumps in to help Kimmy right away, pitching the idea that they'll haul lumber together. Kimi trips under the weight of a huge log, and Akihito immediately blurts out that he's worried. The samurai swears he's totally fine by himself, but Akihito slams the warning. He could end up falling if he pushes it. Annoyed to the core, Kimi snaps at Akihito for being so clumsy and barks at him to stay way more careful. He shoves Akihito aside and snarls for him to stay back, because if he's just going to be useless, then don't get in the way. They fall into a tense silence, and Akihito can't shake the fear that Kimi's furious with him. Kimi bristles with rage, sick of the fact that he still can't do more for Lady Olivia. Akihito snaps to attention, because today is the exact day he's finally allowed to spin his special point roulette. He slams the roulette into motion, and boom, he nails a huge 32-point jackpot, shooting his total to 39. His level up didn't just boost him, it also blasted his tent-building skill with fresh, earth-shaking sub-skills that hit way harder than before. He unlocks a brand new gold tier for his food gacha, and it's so perfect it practically screams, "Time to celebrate." Kimi shoots him a deadpan stare, and his non-stop excited mumbling sends chills down her spine. Akihito practically bursts with excitement, laying out his plan to bring Olivia delicious food as she finally recovers. He can't stop thinking, I just want her to heal up, smile again, and finally be happy. Kimi stares at him dead serious, like her expression tells him nothing at all. The samurai leans in and demands, Akihito, are you really planning to stay on this island with Olivia? Akihito's voice cracks as he admits Olivia is going back home, and that means they can't keep living together. Kimi snapped at him, demanding why he wouldn't go with her, but Akihito shot back that her situation was way too complicated. Kimi blurts out with real worry, Akihito, are you sure you're okay with this? Akihito cracks and admits he feels lonely, but the only thing that truly matters to him is Olivia's happiness. He decides to stack as many joyful memories for her as he can, right here, right now. His heartfelt confession hits Kimi like a wave, and she freezes, totally flustered, completely unable to find a single word. The samurai grumbles that humans make zero sense, and it totally throws Akihito into confusion. Out of nowhere, Buki's voice snaps through the woods, shouting urgently for Akihito. Buchi bursts in, shouting that Marin's in deep trouble, and that he needs his help right now. The story snaps over to their plain little tent, tucked right at the forest's edge. Marin, the minion architect, frets that the house is about to run out of lumber. Akihito stares at the towering building, and realizes this project is going to take way longer than he ever expected. The Mayans step forward and promise to boost their numbers, so the whole assembly can roll faster. A tiny mignon strains as it hammers a massive post, while the others clamp down and hold it in place so it won't slip. As Akihito watches them work, a lightning bolt idea hits him out of nowhere. He stops for a second, remembers he's got a pile driver sub-skill, and decides to unleash it for real. He leaned in, grabbed a minion's trust, and demanded the chance to swing the heavy wooden mallet himself. He clenches the mallet, bracing to unleash the full power of his brand new skill. Using his enhanced body and real skill, he swings the mallet down with earth-shaking force. With one brutal strike, the post crashes deep into the earth, and the minions get rocked into stunned silence. Akihito beams and declares, I can finish it instantly now, thrilled he finally gets to be genuinely useful. The minions' cheer erupted, like it couldn't wait for the work to race ahead. Kimi glares, muttering through clenched teeth that his rival pulling off something like that is exactly what you'd expect. Akihito shouts at Kimi, begging her for a favor that only a samurai can pull off. Kimi gives in with a sharp huff, while the nearby Mayan grins like it already knows the whole thing. Akihito stands before a massive tree, gripping an axe in both hands, ready to hack straight through the lumber shortage. He hurls his axe through the air with a brutal, perfectly practiced swing. His camper skills have clearly leveled up his tree-felling technique. The colossal tree lets out a brutal groan, then snaps with a thunderous crack and starts to crash down. Akihito turns to Kimi and begs for her help, and the samurai snaps back, accepting the challenge with fire in her eyes. Kimi yanks his katana free and lashes out in a blur of brutally impossibly fast slashes. A second massive tree crashes to the ground, chopped down by the samurai's razor-sharp, masterful swordsmanship. The minions are blown away by how perfectly they work together, but Kimi just shrugs off the compliments. A tiny minion grips a hammer, and you can feel that fighting spirit igniting in their chest. Marin amps everyone up, yelling at them to build the whole house in one single, non-stop run. Every single minion in the village bands together, hammering, building, and celebrating in one non-stop burst of joy. During the break, Akihito digs into a meal with his new friends, cheerful, hardworking, and all smiles. The story cuts to a calm, star-studded night deep inside the dark forest. Inside the tent, a lone figure suddenly starts to wake from a long, deep sleep. They jolt awake and stretch their arms wide, finally snapping out of days of hard recovery. Olivia jolts upright, stunned, and wonders how long she's been out cold. She can only remember it in hazy, dreamlike flashes, Akihito and Tama gently taking care of her. She hears the chaos, yanks the tent flap open, and braces herself. What in the world is going on? She's hit with the jaw-dropping sight of a fully finished log cabin, and minions erupting into cheers. Olivia freezes in total disbelief, staring at the scene like, what the heck am I even seeing? Toma barreled to her side, grinning as he asked, "Hey, are you awake? How are you feeling?" The minions swarm in, chattering fast as they swear they built a safe house just so she can finally rest. They beam and tell her it was all Akihito's idea to build this house. Olivia's eyes brimmed with tears as she realized this incredible gift was crafted for her alone. Just as her feelings start to break through, she spots something so strange it snaps the moment in half. She spots two weird, crudely carved wooden statues, one of her, one of Akihito, like they're being worshipped as saviors. The minions swear the statues are 100% non-negotiable, like they're absolutely vital and insanely important. Akihito rockets over, bursting with relief and pure joy the second he sees Olivia finally awake. He gently tells her not to overdo it because she's still recovering and her body needs time. Olivia's eyes brimming with tears, she blurts out, "How am I ever supposed to thank you for this house?" He flashes a warm smile, tells her not to worry, and urges her to just focus on resting. He shoots her a quick promise. The house has 2 separate rooms, privacy guaranteed for both of them. Akihito proposes shifting those weird statues, but the minions shriek no, like they've been waiting to stop him. A minion blazes with pride and declares it's a total honor to praise their savior out in the open. Akihito breaks into a cold sweat, mortified by how painfully over the top they're being with their affection. Olivia claps her hand over her mouth and whispers, "I'm genuinely happy and so grateful." Her face lights up with pure joy as she blurts out that meeting everyone has made her happier than she ever thought possible. Akihito and the minions are completely shaken by her heartfelt, gut-punching words. The minions burst into cheers, shouting that it's time to throw a party and celebrate their brand new house. Akihito flashes a bright grin as the wild, joyous festival energy pulls him in like a wave. He swears he'll cook for the whole crew, then tosses out a beach barbecue idea, complete with ice cream. Olivia's gratitude burns so bright that she refuses to stop there. She jumps in to help him cook. Akihito finally decides the time is right. He's cracking open his special food gacha for maximum luck. He picks the gold tier, crossing his fingers that the party's about to get something seriously special. EBOX snaps into existence, cradling a sleek little bottle of wine and a mouth-watering spread of snacks. He blurts out that he's struck the jackpot, and Olivia stares back, wide-eyed and blown away. Toby the sea lion bursts in with a mountain of fish, and Olivia immediately breaks into praise for the perfect spot. With her hair in pigtails, Olivia beams as she presents perfectly grilled fish skewers. The whole found family laughs and digs into a wild, joyous barbecue together right there in the forest clearing. Olivia grins so hard it's almost blinding, telling everyone that eating together is pure fun and seriously delicious. Akita watches her with a warm, quiet smile. Her joy fills him up, and it feels like everything's finally right. He can't stop thinking. Her smile is the only thing that truly matters to him. A bittersweet thought hits him hard. He just wants them to stay together forever. He knows it'll never happen, but his heart still refuses to stop wishing for it. On the far horizon, a massive ship finally crests the skyline, charging straight toward their island. A majestic galleon slices through the waves, surging closer to the shore with every heartbeat. On the ship's deck, the Prince of Nissel barks orders and drives his men to tear through the islands in search of something. He fixes his eyes on the sea, swears he'll find Olivia, and refuses to believe she's gone, because he's sure she's still out there breathing. A smug, possessive smile snaps onto his face as he vows, "I'm coming for my bride." A towering galleon cuts through the rough waves, racing toward a far-off island crowned with jagged mountains. Up in the crow's nest, the lookout squints through his spyglass, locking onto every detail of the shoreline below. His stare hits, and there, crawling between the rocks, is a pack of hideous, multi-eyed devil rats. Up on the lookout deck, the lookout screams, warning everyone, because the monsters are everywhere. The Prince of Nissel is hit with the blunt news. No one can verify a single human sign on the island. He barks a no-nonsense order, abort the landing now and steer clear of that deadly shoreline. An officer leans in and tells the prince bluntly, to reach the next island, they'll be stuck traveling for several days. The prince seethes over the delay, but he still believes Olivia is waiting for him, safe and sound. Fists clenched, he locks onto the picture of his beloved, broken and alone, like she's forced to endure everything by herself. He clutches his chest like it's on fire, convinced she's right there waiting for him to come save her. Hold on, Princess Olivia, he roars like a hero while his ship cuts through the sea and sails off. The royal galleon barrels on across the endless, empty ocean, swallowing miles with every heartbeat. Meanwhile, on that island paradise, a beaming Olivia chirped, who wants more ice cream. A swarm of thrilled minions erupts in cheers, scrambling into a line like they can't wait another second for their next serving. Akihito snaps that he's had enough, and Olivia jumps in right away to take over the serving. With a warm grin, he playfully urges her to let him scoop her very first bowl. Akihito beams as he serves the minion, and Olivia can't help but stare at him with pure, loving admiration. She cradles her bowl and keeps her eyes locked on Akihito, calm but intensely focused. Joy spills into the air outside their brand new log cabin as everything comes to life. All around them, the minions are in pure bliss, savoring their frozen treats like it's the greatest joy ever. Bucci slides up to deep in thought Olivia and asks right away what's been weighing on her mind. Akihito flashes a grin and tells them it's all because of him that everyone gets to savor this amazing time together. Olivia blurts out that she can't stop leaning on Akihito, and she's done with that because she wants to finally do something for him. Bucci figures, then you better get me a present, okay? The word present hits Olivia like a bolt of lightning, and her eyes fly wide open. Soon, a very drunk Kimmy stumbles up and eagerly thrusts a bottle of wine into Olivia's hands. Olivia, already buzzing with tipsy energy, nods and blurts that they should toss etiquette out the window for the night. Akihito watches from afar, grinning as he sees Olivia letting go and enjoying herself with zero restraint. The very next morning, Akihito threw his arms up and stretched wide, then stopped cold, because that sky outside was just breathtaking. He's locked in his memories, replaying everything from the moment he met Olivia to the time he fought those giant centipedes. He grins to himself, realizing he and Olivia have slowly but surely inched closer and closer. He's thrilled he finally got Olivia to have an amazing time. A thunderous, massive boom cracks through his thoughts, and he prays this fragile piece can hold just a little longer. He whips around in shock, a bead of sweat blazing down his face, and he can't stop wondering what just happened. He glares at a massive crater where the forest is totally wiped out, like it never stood a chance. Terrified out of his mind, he can't stop wondering, what in the world could have wrecked everything like this? Olivia staggers out of the cabin in a drunken wobble, still half fizzed from the night, and lurches straight toward him. With a goofy, carefree grin, she leans in and asks Akihito, "Wanna grab a drink with me?" Akihito blurts out to Kimmy, "Is Olivia drunk?" But the samurai's face burns with shame and she can't bring herself to answer. In a flashback, the drunk and pouty Olivia demanded, "Why won't Akihito drink with me?" Swallowing her grief, she rips loose a catastrophic blast of magical energy. Several days later, the island finally exhaled, life slipped back into its usual rhythm. Two minions run up to each other and gush, saying Akihito's room is huge, spotless, and straight-up amazing. They creep into the brand new log cabin, and their faces light up with pure wonder, like they can't believe what they're seeing. Kimmy leans in and lays it all out for haggard Akihito, explaining exactly what went down while he was passed out drunk. He snaps at Akihito, warning him, no exceptions, that Lady Olivia will never drink alcohol again. In their brand new home, a pot of soup kept bubbling on the stove, like it was celebrating for them. Kimmy's slumped at the table, fidgeting like crazy, snapping at Akihito, "Is dinner ready yet?" Right as Olivia goes to take a bite, Kimmy snaps that he's not going to lift a finger, or even nod at Akihito's cooking. Then he pitches, "Let's find a place to finally settle down," and adds, grinning, "I'm only eating for today." Olivia's eyes suddenly sparkle as she nervously asks, "Can we really go to the cave?" Akihito nods instantly, his mind lighting up. Going to the cave sounds like an awesome idea. Olivia cheers like she just won the lottery, while Kimmy snaps, grumbling that she should be stuck helping with the meal instead of playing around. With a sharp glint in her eyes, Olivia steels herself to track down the perfect present for Akihito. The trio huddled at the mouth of a pitch-black cave, right beside a weird cat-shaped statue. Kimmy snaps that the statue isn't bronze, while Olivia can't help but wonder why Akihito would even want it. Inside, Akihito clocks that Olivia looks totally dazed and blurts out, "Are you okay?" She told him to hold up for a second, heart racing as she battled her fear of the dark. Akihito meets her gaze with a soft, understanding smile that feels like it's saying, "I've got you." He decides this is the perfect moment to cash in the points he's been hoarding. In a burst of light, he pulls 3 brutal headlamps straight from his menu. Olivia's eyes widened at the lights, and she gasped that it felt incredible to finally have her hands free. Akihito decides he won't go any farther until he's learned a brand new skill first. With fresh confidence blazing in her chest, Olivia fires off, "All right, let's get going." Akihito watches her bounce with pure excitement, clocking just how high her spirits are flying. He warns her, "Don't wander off, none of us know what's waiting just ahead, and we can't afford to find out alone." Kimi snaps back that Akihito is the one who's most likely to walk straight into the trap. Olivia sweeps her gaze across the cavern walls, hunting for the perfect present. She doesn't know what he likes, but she's dead set on hunting down the one thing that'll light up his face and make him happy. That crude cat statue just lit up, and it's basically screaming, "You're stepping straight into the level 3 danger zone." Akihito clamps down on his axe, growling at his companions to stay on guard for monsters. Up above, Olivia catches a whisper of light tucked inside a dark crevice. She scales that near-vertical rock face like gravity forgot her, graceful, agile, and unstoppable. She scrambles to the edge, and there, waiting on the ledge, she finds one gorgeous magic stone, glowing like it's alive. She grips the crystal tight, soaking in its gorgeous shape and soft glow like it's lighting up her whole world. With a bright, satisfied smile, she can't help but think Akihito, and this would be the perfect match. Out of nowhere, a sinister shadow drops over her from behind, and the air turns cold. From way down below, Akihito locks eyes with her on the ledge and yells her name, loud, urgent, and alive with hope. His face twists into instant, wide-eyed terror, frozen by what he just witnessed. A monstrous skeletal spider claws its way out of the shadows, behind unsuspecting Olivia. She whips around at Akihito's shout, her face frozen in total disbelief. Akihito's eye twitches, and in a split-second flash of pure insight, his unique skill snaps into action. His edibility judgment skill flashes, and boom, the bone spider's poisonous, plus it spills its one true weakness. He spots the vital thread and screams at Kimi to cut it, now. Kimi ROARS supercharging his body with magic, then dives headfirst into the chaos. He snaps at Olivia to get down, cursing the monster as a foul beast. The samurai turns into a streak of steel, his katana whirling as it chops the creature's limbs apart. Up in the sky, Kimi yells at Akihito, that monster is about to drop. Akihito locks in his stance, fueling his strength and sharpening his reflexes. His axe blade catches the light as he winds up for a brutal, earth-shaking strike. He drops like a meteor, slamming his axe down with brutal force and smashing the spider's skull to pieces. Olivia and Kimi lean over the ledge, watching the monster finally crumple to the ground. A rock slide detonates out of nowhere, and Akihito instantly throws himself in front of Olivia, shielding her from the deadly debris as it rains down. He bends over her, his headlamp hissing smoke, and asks, "Are you okay?" Their headlamps blast straight into each other's faces, and both of them jerk back in a sharp, involuntary flinch. Kimi jabs a finger at the exposed rock wall, demanding to know what they've just unearthed. Akihito spots a vein of pink-gold rock salt and bursts into cheers like they just hit the jackpot. He's bursting with excitement, whispering to the subdued Olivia about all the mouthwatering food they can finally make now. Right nearby, Kimi grins and happily gnaws on one of the spider's leftover bones. Olivia grips her chest and blurts out that the bone broth actually smells downright delicious. Guilt crashes over Olivia, and she blurts out a heartfelt apology for her reckless mess and for dragging them into it. With a sharp snap of his fingers, Akihito declares that he's about to unleash a brand new skill he just got. He conjures a blazing dimensional storage vortex and grins, telling them, "Stuff it all in here." They gleefully fling in heavy rock salt, cheering like they just unlocked the perfect new power. With their treasures tucked away, the whole crew decides it's time to blast out of the cave and grab a long-needed break. They come out on top, and Kimi's grinning as she proudly hoists a bone from their massive catch. Out of nowhere, a panicked butcher comes barreling toward them, yelling that something horrible just happened. He jabs his finger in sheer horror toward the coast, only to reveal a gigantic human ship has just pulled in. Akihito and Olivia just freeze in stunned silence because the moment they realize those happy days are officially gone.